Well, I screwed that up.
A little.
No, wait, hold on. Who are we missing? Oh, Liam.
Oh my!
Guys, I just got home. There's too much going on. I don't have all my lights on. It's yeah.
You literally took time to go. Okay, no,
we're go and turn on all the games, and
not all the games. I don't have any vectors on. I don't have any games that visible. What's that?
They said you would if it was visible.
Asteroids, I'd probably do. There we go. So what's going on, everybody? Let's see who we got all here. We got Pirate Wiggins, Chance. I already know that guy. Billy Bob, channel member. Encore MPW, Jumping General channel member. Joel Strahan, channel member. Wayne Silv, channel member. Primar, I don't know what that is. Prime Arcade.
There's going to be a point where there's too many people in the chat to name them all. We'll be here for like 2 hours naming them all.
Not a problem. That would be awesome. You know, there's a solution for that. There's a solution for that the big time streamers do. You know what that solution is, Chance?
Quit.
You only read. You only ever read super chats. That's what the big ones do.
Fair.
That's what the big ones do.
I'm big in Japan.
So, okay, like Homer Simpson doing the commercials in Japan, like that.
Yes. Fish bulb.
So let's see. So there were all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things that we wanted to do. All kinds of things that I like to do before starting the show. I put show notes together. One of the things I really like right now is the glare on Kay's light or whatever is kind of covering up the logo of the streaming platform, which I love it. Kind of funny.
It's their new logo too. They just changed.
It is. Yeah.
Do you need me to fix that? Because I can.
No, not at all. It's a little Disney-ish. I doubt it'll last very long. Oh, look at that! It's nodding.
Whoa! High tech.
Oh, I didn't even get up.
Does it change to red when you order a pizza?
I don't understand how it does that.
Hang on, do you want it to change the red? Because
science.
Should go red when you go live. There you go. Red light district. All right. So one of the things I like to do before starting episodes is create show notes. That gives me a place to record all of Chance's swear words where I need to go back and bleep them out with Galaga sound effects.
Because that's literally not the only one. Okay?
So you're saying that this episode is free reign?
Well, I use Galaga and Miss Pac-Man sound effects because I know those are Chance's favorite games.
Go.
The other thing is we have a topic this evening that was suggested by channel member and frequent viewer and big supporter Kawaru, whose real name is John. We'll probably not be able to cover everything in a single episode. This topic's a big one. And Chance was also very adamant about completely changing the format of this podcast.
I think people want to hear and be entertained, our expertise or my lack thereof, rather than like hearing me talk about nibbler parts I'm looking for every single time. Right? Like we get right
parts, into I barely know her.
I was waiting for that. We should just have that on the soundboard, save you the breath.
I got a button.
So, one of the things that I don't like about YouTube, among many, on the streaming side, is it does a terrible job about telling people that the streamer, the live streams that you want to watch are live. Sometimes it'll send you like an email half an hour advance, right? It doesn't send you something that really captures your attention and let you know. Sometimes it's after they've gone live. So my strategy has been we go live when we say we go live. And the first hour or so, if you miss it, you haven't missed the kind of, the cream-filled center of the episode. You've only missed the appetizer, right? Where we talk about pickups, we talk about game room updates, we talk about what we've been working on, videos we're releasing on our channel, right? So if you completely miss it, it's not the end of the world. You were late because
you were getting donuts, weren't you?
No, I was feeding my daughter on the way home from practice. She got a donut as her treat though, but I didn't.
Like hand feeding? Because
I had to get her food. I had to get her fed.
Okay.
Yeah, she's beyond the bottle and spoon feeding stage.
I don't have kids.
So the first hour, it was almost like the warm up. And so by the time the audience really trickles in, they're ready for the main act, not the the intro, right? Chance doesn't like that. Chance wants to go right into the heart of it. So people join and trickle in, right?
I like how you're putting everything on Chance just in case this doesn't stick.
Because Jay was the one who also agreed with this. I think that the format.
No, I'm putting this squarely on Chance as well.
As am I. But if it does work, then I also agree to
take the credit. Yeah, 100%. But
you guys know about the last in, first out principle, right?
Yeah, but this is a podcast. Let's just get to the topic. You show up. Welcome to the podcast. These are the three idiots that are joining me, mainly K, and K. And then let's just talk about the topic.
It's funny. I did a little bit of unscientific study and just I kind of looked at what bigger streamers do, that sort of thing. Almost without exception, what the big successful ones do that have literally 1 million times more viewers than we do. They start the stream at least half an hour, often an hour, sometimes literally 2 hours early. They just start the stream and they have just placeholder graphics, or they'll have clips, highlight reels, maybe a 5-minute sizzle reel on a loop, and hawking their merch, whatever, right? And that's sort of, as people are trickling in, right? And then they go live. The only exceptions, we probably should get Coin Jam specific merch, because I have started to see a couple of channel members who explicitly said they became channel members because of the podcast, not my, main content on the channel. I
assume we get an equal merch cut as we get currently from the show.
Absolutely, 100%, right?
100%. Yeah, okay.
Well, here's the thing. The point I'm making is the only major exceptions I can find to people who start a live stream and start talking when it goes live at the scheduled time is people who transition from traditional broadcast media.
Well, I feel
So if you used to have a TV show and you now are a podcaster, or you used to have a talk radio show and you're now a podcaster, you kind of bring that with you.
Yeah.
And the platforms don't support it, right?
Yeah.
And what a lot of them often do is they'll create their own platform and they can do whatever notifications.
I feel that this discussion this counts as our banter before we get into the topic.
Yeah, right? I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm here. I just got to turn on another light.
He's not wearing pants, folks. So for those of you listening at home on the Apple podcast, or who your favorite. Oh yeah,
I'm wearing short pants.
If he gets up, he has to turn his camera off because he's not wearing any pants.
I have pants on.
I don't need proof.
My shorts actually match my shirt. And oh, by the way, this is something I've been meaning to mention. I received this around Christmas time. I think not this past year, but the year before. I don't know if it was and it was separate from the Clov Secret Santa stuff and separate from the Discord Secret Santa stuff. Someone sent me this, and I don't know who did. There was no, it was from, I think it was ordered off of Amazon. There was no gift receipt inside. There was nothing. So someone out there, thank you. I think I might have mentioned this before, but thank you. I don't know who you are, my secret admirer. Or maybe it was just a Secret Santa who sent stuff directly and then had some of it shipped from Amazon or whatever. But thank you. So do we just jump right into it?
I think we should.
It's been 10 minutes, which is the allotted amount of time that Chance gave us. So
I don't know.
We're not at our peak viewership yet. I'm just saying. We're some Pacific Coast folks are still having dinner with their families.
See, normally what you would do is you'd run
we should just have an intermission where we just blame Chance when people come in and be like,
that's what the people expect.
We run the title for 10-15 minutes as you suggested. You show up, you introduce yourself, you introduce the channel, you introduce these three yahoos that joining you, and then we talk for a few minutes of banter, and then we get into the topic.
There we go.
Right?
So that's Chance, everyone.
Hi.
Liam here from Retro Robotics, Kay from Prime Arcade, the Blue Light District, sometimes Red Light District, And I'm Charlie from Overtime Arcade. If you're watching this, you're watching it on my channel, so you probably know what that's all about. We do have a dedicated set of people who listen to the audio version of the podcast. And I also must apologize. I had been remiss in my duties because there were literally tens of thousands of cuss words for me to painstakingly, manually, what's the term in at the scrub to the right point, right? Yep. Find it, slice it out, insert a sound effect. So I had been 5 months behind, but we are fully caught up. So obviously the audio version of this hasn't been released, but every episode up till now has the audio version. It goes on. We use Spotify to upload it, and Spotify actually federates it out, sends it out to Apple and Google and iHeartRadio and all the different sort of things. So we almost never, I think we average one comment a year on Spotify. So if you're out there, Mike Doyle listens to us on Spotify, other folks, right? So leave us whatever your platform supports, leave us a like, comment, review. I know Apple Podcasts is big about reviews. So let us know that you're out there, and it'll give me even more motivation to brutally sit through all the foul language of my illustrious co-hosts.
Yeah,
and we got there without any show notes. Look at that, folks.
I'm just riffing now. This is all extemporaneous. So our topic du jour, which is the topic of the day, which may also bleed into next month because it's a big one. This came from Kawaru5, channel member, and his recommendation, which is funny because he is well beyond this himself, because he is quite skilled in all these things, is basically back to basics. If you're a brand new person to the hobby, maybe you don't even own a game yet, but you're interested in getting into the hobby, which again, for us and for Kay, it's his profession, isn't just collecting and playing games. It's fixing them, it's repairing them, it's restoring them, it's bringing them back to life. And even if you're interested in, primarily collecting and playing them, your cheapest path to do that is not to buy fully restored, beautiful games. Although if you're in Kay's service area, that's what we highly recommend. But if you're trying to do this on a budget and you want to own, a background, if you want to own a game room like Liam's background there, Liam did not buy those games retail, right? And the way you do that is to buy games that are, well loved, right? Used and have, some combination of cosmetic issues and electronics issues, right? And you figure out how to, get it up and running yourself. Same thing with classic cars. Same thing with motorcycles, whatever. Often with houses too, right? Yep. Buy a fixer-upper and learn how to do things on your own. And that can be intimidating, right? If you don't have any kind of background in this, you're not a electrical engineer, you don't have a degree in electronics, you're not a woodworker, artist, whatever type of thing, and you picked up some just absolute ratted out asteroids cabinet, where do you even start, right? So you bought this thing, you got it for $100, smoking deal on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and now it's sitting in your garage. Where do you even start? What do you do, right? You're just looking at this thing. Your spouse is pissed off, right? I probably need to bleep that out because you bought it without talking to anybody, right? And it smells like cigarettes from the 80s. Nothing happens, right? There's no signs of life. What do you even do? Where do you start?
I mean, there's two thoughts on the matter here. There's the John's Arcade adage, and he was always on his channel. He was always very adamant about, if you're going to go out and buy a game, just go get it. If you see it on Craigslist, Kijiji, wherever, go out and get it. But his adage was, make sure it's complete. Don't turn it on when you get there. Make sure it's complete. And that's a good starting point. But for a lot of people,
especially for your first game.
Exactly. But for a lot of people, you're not going to find a complete game right off the hop. I mean, you might get lucky. You might,
especially with something more uncommon.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, Inferno. Right? So
yeah, no.
Not a good first game.
Not a good first game. Good game. But so those are your two starting points. Hey, I've found something. It's been converted to something else. I got it for, cheap pricing, 100, 150, $200. Yeah, go get it. Especially if it's got parts and a monitor. Just go get it. Go save it. That's part of the hobby, I think, is go and save it. And then
So get a bunch of these games. They're all sit in your garage. None of them works. Then what do you do, Liam?
I fix electronics first. I don't go through the cosmetics. The first thing I do when I get a cabinet home is open it up and look inside, see what's there, and start diagnosing.
Whoa, okay, hold on. I need to qualify this because we've talked about this leading up to this episode that you and I are polar opposites with this. So you fix electronics first, but I have to ask before we get into it, do you just strip the game down or do you open it up, see what's inside, take out just the electronics and then leave it as is and then go fix the electronics?
It depends on the game.
Okay.
It depends on the game. Like there are a certain class of games where I'd feel comfortable just plugging it in and seeing what happens. That would be like Donkey Kong, right?
Sure.
I plugged in Donkey Kong because if Donkey Kong blew up, it's not the end of the world for me.
It's not going to blow up.
No.
It's not going to blow up. But if it did, I'd be fine because it's Donkey Kong.
What about a Star Wars cockpit?
Yeah, exactly. A Star Wars cockpit. That's the kind of thing.
Breaking news. What would Jeff Kinder do? I'll tell you what Jeff Kinder would do. He would donate 49.99 quadrillion Shroot bucks to the Coin Jam podcast and not even leave a comment. That's what Jeff Kinder would do. Jeff, I love you, buddy. I haven't seen you in person in a couple months. I need to get up there. Hello, Jeff. Thank you for your generosity. And now back to him.
Wow. So yeah, say I have a Star Wars cockpit in the garage, something uncommon and expensive like that. My first act would be to tear down the whole thing: boards, monitor, power supply,
from the electronics
all out. From the electronics perspective.
Okay.
I'm not tearing down the physical cabinet. I'm just pulling everything out because I personally have the capability to test everything on a bench.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a safer way to approach things that are, shall we say, difficult to replace, like an Amplifone monitor or something like that. Like I can power an Amplifone off my bench. I have a Vector TPG I can hook it up to. It's a good way to isolate a system.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think Kay's distracted by something more entertaining than the podcast.
Yeah, my girlfriend's here.
You're blowing kisses off camera.
I just want everyone to think my girlfriend's here. Sorry.
Is that why the light was red for the first little bit?
There you go. There you go.
I can turn it back. I can change it back to red if you want.
Do not disturb.
That's for later.
Sound.
There you go.
See, it's real. I told you.
It's AI.
She exists.
So, but anyway, Liam. So your focus right off the bat is crack the game open, pull the electronics out. Is that fun for you, or do you do that to get that out of the way?
No, I think honestly fixing the electronics is the most fun part for me. And it's the most like anticipatory, I would say. Like if I can get the electronics functioning, that's a huge milestone for me. Like a functioning game is a functioning game. It might not look perfect. I can improve on it, but at least it works. Right? Like if I can get the Star Wars cockpit running, I can play it. It might look like a turd, but I can go through if I really need to and do cosmetic work at my leisure, essentially.
Fair.
Right?
Do we have to beep out the word turd?
I wouldn't overuse it, but it's okay.
Oh, that word's safe? Okay.
Because cool. I could tell my 6-year-old,
Noted.
Go pick up the dog's turds in the background, in the backyard. Yeah.
Okay, so but that's your approach. You jump right in, right? And at what point do you get to the cosmetics? Like you said, you just slowly do them. Like where's
there have actually been occasions where I get a game fully working, and then I strip it out and do cosmetics.
Wow.
Like, I have gone and done that before with several titles, actually. Just like, okay, the whole system's good. I'm taking it, putting it in a box, and doing a paint job.
Okay. And so I just, out of curiosity, because with your background, you know your way around a multimeter. You know your way around a soldering iron. You know your way around a logic probe. The average person might not, but it's a good opportunity for them to learn, especially a multimeter right away. I think that's like the number one thing. Anyone listening out here who has aspirations of getting into the hobby, if you don't have a multimeter and understand the most basic like continuity and resistance, and voltage, just at the very least, please just stop what you're doing.
Well,
go on Amazon, get a $30 one, then get a decent one, or get a decent one.
No. Go on TikTok. Go go to my channel, buy the one that I have sponsored, and I'll get a commission. That's what. See,
this is synergy here, folks.
I was gonna say, I think you two college professors are jumping already to the 102 class, right?
Agreed. Yeah,
and we need some of the 101 stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe Kay, let's say again, first timer, knows nothing, has a game. Let's say it is complete, right? And just so people kind of understand what we mean by complete. There's kind of any arcade video game you get is going to have three major subsystems, right? It's going to have the power.
Yeah.
All right. From electronics perspective, it's going to have the power, and I would kind of include like the wiring harness sort of with that sort of corner, right? It's going to have the power. It's going to have a monitor, and it's going to have a game board
and controls. Right?
Yeah, but
I know. There are a lot of games with kind of unique controls.
But just to be clear, my previous reference of like from John was when he says complete, he means like it's probably just a fuse, right? So you can. What my point was on that is you can luck out. But again, a complete game like has all the parts. Maybe somebody's converted it along the way. You've now received a cabinet, regardless if it's complete or completely gutted. The process is pretty straightforward from the beginning. Like. First and foremost, you should be making a list of what you need to do.
Okay, walk us through. Put yourself in that position. First time owner, I know nothing. And let's say you're the birdie. We got Kay sitting on somebody's shoulder as their little angel or devil, or maybe a version of each, right? You're sitting on their shoulders. What are you whispering into their ear? Like literally the game is just there. They haven't touched it. What do you do, Kay?
All right, so if I'm the angel and devil on one side, the devil is saying it's unrepairable, sell it to me for cheap.
Yeah.
The angel is saying, because I get this question a lot, is I just got this game, I don't know what to do with it. What is my first step? And I say the same thing every time. ASAP, always start at power. Mm-hmm. That is the first thing you do. That is always step number one. If you don't have clean, sufficient power, you ain't got nothing. So that is always your first step. And it starts with your plug going into the wall. Where's that power going? How is your wiring doing? Do you have, your safety cutoff switches? Do you have your on-off switches? Are all those functioning correctly? Do those even make it to the power supply? Is your power supply getting power? Does it have power going in? Does it have power going out? Is that power going out correct? The power going out, is it going to the places it's supposed to go? And those places where it's supposed to go, is it getting the correct voltages? There's a lot of places that voltages have to go. Are they getting there, and are they sufficient? Until you know that, you don't know nothing. So that is always step number one.
Nothing happens without power.
Starts at electronics.
But okay. Hold on. Let's back way up. I've literally just done this with a friend of mine a couple of years ago, and he's now in the hobby as an operator. At the very beginning, you want to get into the hobby, you're going to go see all these things on, let's say, Craigslist as an example. You're going to go out and find something, maybe ask some of your buddies who are in the hobby, or ask around, like, should I get this? No, just go out and go get it. If it's a couple $100 and it's an arcade game, $100 worth of lumber, I mean, that's going to save you right away from having to collect metal brackets and monitors and everything. Just go get the cabinet. If it's, inexpensive, pick it up, bring it home, start assessing.
Jerry Voluptuous agrees with Kay. ASAP, always start at power. I would also add, like in parentheses, like in connections, which is almost partly the same thing. If the power's not plugged in, that's part of it.
Yeah, but you guys are assuming that the game has all of its components. What if it doesn't have a power supply? What if it's
so that's what I would kind of say.
Then that's part of power. If you don't have a power supply, then you're checking the power. You're going to find out along the line, wait, I don't have a power supply.
Okay, so but hold on. Here's where I'm coming at this from a completely different side of things. I don't care about turning the game on and making it playable. In my
Chance
world.
doesn't care about what's inside. He's all about the outside.
No. I do care about what's inside.
You superficial son of a...
No. If you look at any of the restorations that I've ever done, especially any of the ones that are on YouTube, okay? After you assess kind of what's wrong with the game, whether it's complete, whether it needs parts, artwork, any of that kind of stuff, I'm not going to rush to go and turn the game on. I'm going to start disassembling the entire thing and cataloging all the parts, seeing what I have, seeing what's missing. I'm going to start ordering things that could take weeks or months, like some artwork pieces or a board or, wiring or connectors or stuff like that. I'm going to start collecting everything. And then at some point in time, I'm going to go and work on the PCB itself, or I'm going to start working on the cabinets aesthetics and get some of the wood repair done and get the paint done or some laminate. Then I'm going to move on to assembly and put everything together, right? So
Yes,
that's...
But you're doing this from an experience kind of point of view.
Yeah.
No.
Beginner's not going to look at the big picture from the very beginning and be like, okay, I need to get all this stuff ordered from the very beginning because I know what the end game looks like.
But that's what I'm saying.
They don't know what any of that is from the very beginning.
Yeah,
they don't know what step
that,
1
like...
is, let alone what step 6 is.
No. But that's what I'm saying is...
This.
No. I'm not good at this. I'm horrible at this.
You're good at this. You've done some great restorations, but consider a restoration when you're actually doing artwork on the cabinet. There is so much variance of whether or not it looks good or you did a bad job.
Fair.
All right. But with electronics, generally, with a little bit of wiggle room, it works or it doesn't work. Right. Yeah. And if you get it working, that's a success. There's nowhere to go from there. But if you're done, if you're trying to do artwork, that's an endless sliding scale of diminishing returns. And did I do good enough? And is this art accurate enough?
Look. At the end of the day, here's my point with good enough. Okay, because this is a topic that keeps coming up in arcade restoration or repair. The 80-20 rule. Okay, John Green, a famous YouTube creator, has a very good video on his secrets to success. And
Tom Green, the comedian?
John Green. I live and die by the 80-20 rule. Not just when I'm doing a restoration of an arcade, when I'm doing an arcade game, when I'm doing another DIY project, anything in the world that I put a creative effort behind. I call it the 80-20 rule. He calls it the 80-20 rule. The first 80% of the job, because when someone comes downstairs and they see an arcade game that I've restored, or they just see a game, they're gonna be like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like someone walks into your living room, you've only got one game, you've worked on it, they're gonna see right away, they're gonna be like, oh, that's so cool. You're gonna spend 80% of your time getting it to that wow, it's so cool point, and then you're gonna spend twice as much time trying to finish that last little 20%. Every single person in the world is just going to see something really, really cool and something really, really good.
Oh, I know.
You're going to know where your mistakes are, but they just see something cool. They're not going to be like, oh, I nicked the T-molding on the back, or, oh, I have a bubble in the artwork. No, you get better at those things over time when you commit to them and you start working on them and you put some effort and some passion into it. If that's what your drive is, if you just want to make it work, then just make it work. It's all subjective, really. It doesn't have to be showroom. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, some of my favorite restorations, some of my favorite repairs have been projects where I didn't have to restore them, like the Wild Gunman, for an example. That thing patina right out of the bat. I did not have to restore and get fresh buttons, fresh, bezel. I rebuilt the monitor, okay, because that's important. But for the most part, like when somebody asks, like, where do I start? Well, just make a list. What do you need? What do you want out of the project?
They don't even know what list to make. So here's what I would say.
Actually,
go ahead. No, please.
I can think back to my first game when I entered the hobby and answer exactly what I did. Sam and I picked up a Tempest. That was our first game entering the hobby together. I had pretty much no idea what I was doing. The first thing I did, which is what I would recommend other than ASAP, always start at power, is RFM, and I'm not going to elaborate on that manual, on that acronym, but I read the Tempest manual, read through the schematics, and was like, okay, so here's there. Do I have all that? Looks good-ish. Of course, every single thing was wrong with my Tempest. The board was bad. The power supply was bad. The harness was bad. The monitor was bad. Didn't know that at the time. But starting with the manual gave me an indication of what to check. And after that, it was start to research the individual components. Well, how do I hook up this monitor, right? How do I start up a color vector? And that was where Andy's awesome guide came in. You know, what do I test? Because I'd never seen one of these in person before. And that was sort of where it all started, is just read. Don't do anything until you know something.
And I would say you can do that even before getting the game, right? So if you see, let's say, a Centipede on Facebook Marketplace for sale, and price is something you're willing to pay, you're interested in it, go look at the manual, right? Also, look at
make a play for getting the game first.
Well, but hold on. As a complete beginner, right? Look at the manual. Look at the flyer too, right? Because if you have no familiarity whatsoever, right? It might not even be a Centipede. It might be what's that amusement like John Exity did a joke about this. What's that United Artists Theater cabinet, the most ridiculous custom cabinets that they made back then, and they look like bookshelves with a marquee and a monitor.
Oh, you're talking about Steven Spielberg's cabinets.
Yeah. So John Exity made a joke, April Fool's Day joke, that he was now going to start, building those, right? Like 1-for-1 reproductions. But like, you think, oh, look at that Tempest. And then you look at a flyer, like, that doesn't look like Tempest. That's not actually what Tempest looks like. Or let's say that the seller has a clue, right? And took a picture of the inside of the cabinet with the back door off, which they never do, right?
No.
But let's say they did, right? You can go to that Centipede manual, and like, it's, because the better manufacturers had like drawings like this. It's not a photograph necessarily, but it's a drawing of, hey, here's what it's supposed to look like on the inside, and here's labels of all the things. There's a monitor supposed to be here, right? There's a transformer assembly down here. There's supposed to be a circuit board over here. There's supposed to be an AR2 power supply board over here, right? And you look at those things and say, yep, that looks like the picture in this listing. Or, oh, by the way, there's no board in here, right? And the listing doesn't say it, but it's got a picture and there's no board in there. Or there's everything except the AR2, which also does audio amplification. But let's, for now, think of that as the power supply. That's not in there. And so guess what? When you turn it on, nothing's going to happen when you turn it on and do the switch, right?
The most common things I see missing are original controls.
Yep.
Power supplies
and monitors
for
LCDs.
In that order.
Yeah.
And so, so now you got a sense if anything major is missing, right? And you also have a sense of kind of what it's supposed to look like. Is the monitor kind of like falling out, right? Are things jumbled in there? Like the cabinet's been dropped and things have gone crazy, because you have no idea the life of this thing, especially if it's not being sold as a, working, game in good shape, right? So just, kind of know what to look for when you're opening the thing and looking at it. Another big thing I would say for any new people is find a network, find some friends, whatever, online, in person, it doesn't matter, of somebody who knows what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So you can send that listing to your buddy Kay and say, hey, Kay, what do you think of this? And the first couple of times he's going to laugh at you, right? Yeah. He's going to say, that's not even a Centipede. That's a stupid Steven Spielberg.
That's somebody took a 1-up and painted it black.
Right. That's a 1-up with an LCD and a 60-in-1 in it or something like that, right? Yeah. But through, his, it'll be in good, whatever, right? Coming from a good place, his bullying, you'll get better, you'll start to learn, right? And he can
giving me a lot of credit
help
right
you with
now.
that. Right?
Yeah.
Like I get a lot of tough love, sense of it, from you, but find someone, and this is not just, shilling for becoming a channel member. You can go to Claw. There's even some halfway decent Facebook groups, right? But like, find somebody that you can, either a public group or maybe a friend that you can just text stuff to or whatever. Find somebody that knows at least a little bit more than you do that can help with, some of those basic things. And we've still got Jerry's comment up here, echoing what Kay said. Always start at power. Again, is the power cord shredded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the power cord even plugged in on both ends, right? Because a lot of them can be unplugged on the inside, right?
Does it have a ground pin?
Does it have a ground pin? Is
there a 22 shell in place of a fuse?
Right. Some folks will, there have been cases where games were sold not working, and I've never been this lucky, but games are sold not working. The listing said nothing happens when I plug it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they didn't turn it on, right?
Yeah.
Not all. Like, for example, Frogger doesn't have a power switch, an external power switch, but almost all games have some switch, and they're not super obvious, right? It's not like a TV where it's right on the front, right? They're often in a place where they don't want players in an arcade to be able to turn the game off, right?
And
so sometimes on the top of the cabinet, the back, the bottom of the back. Sometimes they're on the front, but they're like underneath the kick plate area. Is the power switch turned on? And go inside and look on the other side of it. Is the power switch plugged in? Because there are wires that go to the power switch that can become unplugged.
Yeah.
Like Liam is saying, most games, not all, most games have safety interlock switches. So these are switches that are often the back door presses up against one. The coin door will press up against one, where these switches are normally closed when everything is put together right. And for example, if the game is running and somebody opens the back door, that interlock switch will pop open and the game will shut off for safety, right? Because they don't want kids sticking their hands in, with high voltage. Same thing with the coin door. Those interlock switches can become loose. And let's say they came loose and it's no longer making contact with the back door. So the back door is not able to close the interlock switch. And it could be as simple as that, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's completely super simple things. You said, Liam, you had an example like this for yourself?
Yeah, interlock switch. Their game had no back door, so it wasn't turning on because the interlock was not engaged.
It's happened to me dozens of times.
9 times out of 10.
Dozens of times.
Dozens. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, when I find a game now, the interlock switch has been bypassed, either completely removed or they've turned it down in its little bracket.
Duct tape.
And then
they don't care about safety in Canada.
Electrical tape.
I've seen a lot of duct tape.
A lot of duct tape. We've had this thing recently. Actually, just going back to your previous point, Charlie. One of the things that I'm very grateful for is the small little collective that in the Calgary area that a small number of us collectors, business owners, that kind of thing, we've banded together at a little Facebook Messenger chat. And if we know that somebody in that group is looking for something specific, we do our best to get it to that person. And this ranges from people who've just started out. There's about 9 of us in there that have just started out or are seasoned, fully vetted arcade collectors, hobbyist, restorationists. And we just had the other day, we had a Facebook Marketplace ad show up. It was obviously a Williams cabinet. I could tell right away. I knew exactly what it was right away. It was cropped in just a little over the coin door. You could kind of make out a little bit of the shape. And in my experience brain, I knew right away because our buddy Adam posted this in the group. I knew right away it was one of 3 specific Williams cabinets, most likely a Moon Patrol. And I knew that Craig, one of our buddies,
just going back to my old tricks here and muting chants when super chats come in. Overtime
really
Arcade.
He was going to say something like Inferno.
Channel member. Saving myself, preemptively. He got all pink all of a sudden. Preemptively having to edit out the swearing. Channel member Cameron Cardwell says, Overtime Arcade community is the best with a $999 trillion super chat donation. Cameron, thank you. And it's because of people like you, Cameron, that our community here, I am quite proud of it. I think we do have a great group of folks. Anyway, sorry, Chance.
No, what I was saying is we knew right away that I knew right away that it was one of a couple of games, one of 3 games, and I was pretty darn sure that it was going to be a Moon Patrol. We know that Craig, one of our other Craig Learmont, one of the other members of the group, has been wanting a Moon Patrol for the longest time. I had to do a double take, and I looked at, my Moon Patrol. I was downstairs when the ad came through. But again, like, it was that community group we knew right away. And Adam saw the listing. He wasn't looking, and he put it in our little group chat. He asked our little collective, and right away we knew what it was. Craig went out and he had it for $100 the next day. We literally messaged the guy within seconds of getting the ad, and then by the next day he was pulling that game half an hour out of town in his car.
And what was it?
Moon Patrol. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
100%. So yeah,
were the sides painted black?
No.
Or you just saw a sliver of
the
game
yeah, no,
there.
sorry. Yes, it was painted black. And there was a debate after that in the community, in our little group, like, how do we get this paint off? And I had made a couple of suggestions because I've been in that position. And again, it goes back to what you were saying, that like having a group of people that you can, bounce questions off of. Now that's something that doesn't just organically happen overnight. That's what like the Facebook groups, that's what Clove is good for. That's what asking in the Discord for, the channel member Discord is for. It's a really great way if you don't know to ask. But before you ask, I would always do a quick Google search. I would always just do a search. Unfortunately, the toxic side of this hobby, you're going to get discouraged sometimes because you're going to ask what you'd think is a fair question, but the vast majority of people are going to be like, that's a dumb question. Google it. Honestly, there's a line. I would say always just like do a quick search. Hey, how do I do this? AI is really good for that. Hey, I've got this. I'm doing this. I'd like to do this. I've got this multimeter. This game's not turning on. Be careful with it because it can lead you. It's confidently wrong a lot. It can lead you down the wrong path.
It'll just tell you how to poison yourself.
For electronic stuff. I've played with it before, and it has gotten things wrong.
Well, I don't. Sorry, before we go down that rabbit hole, I'm not saying rely on AI, but I'm saying like in your best interest, first and foremost, you see something show up on Marketplace, you think you want it, go out and grab it. While you're waiting to hear back from the guy, pull up the manual. Start asking questions. If
don't ask the seller questions.
Don't ask the seller questions. Never ask the seller questions.
All you're doing is negotiating yourself out of the deal.
Exactly. If you show up, if the guy messages you back and goes, yeah, it's available, you want to come see it today, tomorrow, whatever, great, I'm on my way. Don't wire him money beforehand. Always cash on the glass. That's how scams happen. Show up, take a good look. You can always say no. You can, if the bottom wood is all blown out, you can just say, you know what, this isn't the game for me. Thanks for your time. Be polite, walk away.
Turn around and drive 7 hours home.
Yeah. Well, if you know what it is and you've got good pictures and you got communication and your buddies are saying like, yeah, go get this. Obviously at that point, it's not your first game. But if it is your first game, you can walk away from a deal. I've done
I just feel obligated to point out that my first game, The Tempest, we drove 7.5 hours one way.
That's crazy to me.
Well, and Pirate Wiggins makes a good point here, right? Kind of along these lines. Never try to fix a game you were buying before you get it in your truck, right? Because if you show up and you've made a deal for a $100 broken centipede and it's just the interlock switch or it's not turned on, and guess what? It's no longer a $100 broken centipede.
Yeah.
The sellers will be like, well,
100%.
It's working now, so don't touch it. Now, fortunately, for this topic, for the intended audience, they don't know how to fix it, so they're not going to do that at the seller's thing. But don't even try to fix it. Yeah. And what Chance was just saying about Googling and some toxic behavior on Clove, one of the really important skills, there's actually 2 here that are related. One of the really important skills to develop is how to ask good questions.
Yes.
Right. So if you're texting your
before you even say that, to piggyback off of that, whenever I'm buying a game and I know it's not working, but it'll do something when it's plugged in. Like if it's playing blind or something like that, or like the monitor's kind of fuzzy and they're like, hey, do you want me to plug it in? I say, no, I don't even want to see what it's doing. I'm buying it as is, because there's always a chance that they're going to plug it in, and for whatever
it'll
reason,
just work.
it's going to work.
Yeah.
Well, and you can tell them, an explanation you can tell them is, hey, I don't want to just plug it in. It's like, You don't want like a car that's not that isn't in good shape. You don't just start it, right?
No.
You're going to check a whole bunch of stuff before you start it. So you can say the same thing. Hey, if something's wrong and you just plug it in and turn it on, you can hurt it, which is technically true for some games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good excuse to give them on. Well, don't even bother, right? I'll get buying this as a broken thing. But yeah, that ability to ask good questions so that when you're texting your buddy Kay and you don't want him to laugh at you and make fun of you, right? You got to think about how to structure, the question, right? What have you tried? What have you read? Well, I read a bunch of stuff about this. Am I going down the right path here? Like, no. That's not even a monitor issue. You've got other issue entirely. And the thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that is, one of the big things that's important for any kind of troubleshooting, especially for this type of stuff, is you need to be able to think analytically, right? So when we were talking about, you have these different, subsystems or whatever of the game, the power and the monitor and the board and the whatever, right? Think about how those things are both, separate but connected, right? Break things down, go step by step. Like Kay was saying, the power kind of has this path, right? It comes from the outlet, right? Goes into the main power cord, goes into the cabinet, and then it's going to go somewhere. It's going to do certain things, right? Typically, every manufacturer looks a little bit different, and like even the order of these things looks a little bit different. Power comes into the cabinet through the power cord. It's going through some switches, right? It's going through some fuses. There's probably a line filter in there. It's probably going into a transformer. It's probably then going to a power supply that's going to turn the 120 volts of AC into 5 volts DC, probably 12 volts, probably -5, maybe some other voltages. And then that sort of cabinet power gets distributed to different parts of the cabinet, right? And so, again, that's, big generalities, right? One of the main things too is that, a couple folks have alluded to. So let's say you've started that, right? Hey, the power cord looks good. It's plugged into the wall. Power's going somewhere. All the switches are on. I've confirmed that. All the wiring there looks good. And still nothing's happening. The lights are turning on. Nothing's doing anything. One of the next things you're going to check is the fuses, right? So virtually every arcade cabinet is going to have at least one, often multiple fuses. Again, going and looking at the manual, it's going to tell you what fuses are supposed to be where, right? None of the fuses are supposed to be blown, right? And again, for super basic stuff, a fuse is designed to basically sacrifice itself. It breaks the circuit when there's an overabundant, the current being drawn is too high, right? So think, you can almost think of electricity kind of as water or plumbing. It doesn't follow, gravity like plumbing does, but there's water pressure coming out of the wall. There's electricity going out of the wall. It's trying to go somewhere. And the fuses are designed to say, hey, if something's wrong and it's pulling more power, it's pulling more electricity, it's pulling more water out of the wall than it's supposed to, something's wrong, likely a short, something, potentially can catch on fire, and the fuse blows. It's got a tiny little, really thin piece of metal, almost like a filament in a incandescent light bulb, and that thing pops and it breaks the circuit so the electricity isn't flowing anymore, right? And an arcade cabinet typically has multiple fuses. A lot of them are going to be clustered in and around the power component, but there's also going to be fuses typically on the monitor, right? And so if the cabinet is completely dead, no signs of life, it's plugged in, all the switches are turned on, everything looks like it's connected properly, there's likely a fuse that's blown, right? So you're going to check each of those fuses. You're going to have your multimeter, which, one of the things the multimeter will do is tell you if there's a connection between 2 points. So you have your two test leads that come off of the multimeter. You turn your multimeter to continuity mode. And basically what most of those multimeters will do is, you put those 2 points somewhere. And if there is a connection between those 2 points, it's going to beep, right? It tells you there's continuity. It means there is a path from A to B, or from, common to hot or whatever, right? You've got a connection between those 2 points. You're going to check each of those fuses. You can usually check from, the leaving the fuse plugged in, check from not the fuses. You check from the clips of the fuses, right? Because often the clips have gone bad. Some fuses literally are, twist lock ones that need to be removed. Don't ever use your eyes. Don't just hold it up to I don't see like it's broken, right?
Always test
Use your
continuity on it,
multimeter. And if none of them are looking bad, still pull them out and check them, right? Because things can anyway.
I would see, and personally speaking, when it comes to fuses, for many years, I would just test the fuse in line. I kept
Battlezone taught you a lesson.
Yeah, Battlezone taught me a lesson. Thank you for remembering that. I will always pull the fuse out and test it out of circuit. Always. Especially if you're new, it teaches you how to remove the fuses because they're going to blow. They're going to fail. Especially old fuses, if they're original fuses that are 30, 40 years old, it's really good to understand how those fuses come out. And I think that it's part of the discipline of taking your time. When you get that game home, just to back up a little bit, when you've now purchased the game, you've thrown on in your vehicle, you've quickly opened it up away from the seller, as Kay pointed out, to make sure that everything's secure. The last thing you want on the way home is the monitor not being tied into the brackets and falling and crashing and snapping the tube or snapping the board or something like that. You've paid for it. You're on your way home. The first thing I always do, regardless how new I was in this or how experienced I was, is I'm going to take a look at the game. I'm going to rip it apart or open up the back panel. I'm just going to take a look. I'm going to observe. And that's kind of a little bit of the theme that we've been talking about. And when it comes to fuses specifically, one of the first things that I ever bought in this hobby was a Space Duel. And it was had all the parts, bought it from a collector. It was not turning on. He was a collector, but he hadn't been really in the hobby for some time. He just had it sitting in storage and didn't know what was wrong with it. He didn't bother taking it apart. He knew that I was looking for it because I'd posted, interest for it. First thing I did when I got it home, took the back panel off and I just sat there and looked at it. And I think part of the discipline in this and getting better in this hobby, especially the restoration or the repair, is just observation. I took a very good look at the back of that inside of that game. And the first thing I noticed right away is there were 2 empty fuse slots on the back of the monitor.
How does something like that even happen, Chance? How could that even happen?
Good question. It literally was just a fuse. I went into the manual, as we talked before. I popped both of those fuses back in. I took a quick trip out to Canadian Tire, grabbed the fuses, came back, popped both in, checked with the multimeter, a couple of other places on the power, turned right on. It worked.
Well, and what I was going to say is, don't never make any kind of assumption, right? Because how does something like that happen? Well, that game spent some of its life sitting in some operator's warehouse, right? Mm-hmm. And even if you bought it from a seller and he's had it in his garage for 15 years, maybe it's never worked, right? Wife finally got mad enough where he got rid of it, passed along to you. And the reason it's missing the back door and those 2 fuses is because it was sitting in that warehouse, and that operator, there was another game they were trying to get working. They needed fuses. They didn't want to go to Canadian Tire. They pulled the fuses out of some other cabinet because it had some other issue, stuck them into that, and that's why those 2 fuses are missing.
Yeah. And I think I think the point of my little rant there was observation. Take the time, sit back. Once you've got this game home, you don't have to start ripping it apart and go, no. What's missing? What's connected? Look around. There's obviously, certain things, if it's a 40-year-old game that have 40 years of dust on it, or that look like they're brand new, that they're clean, that have no dust, no grime. So what looks like it's been changed? What looks like it's been hacked? What looks like it's not from a factory from a company that has produced a product to put out in the world, where some Yahoo with a Weller soldering iron just tacked on a bunch of random wires that don't have the same zip ties connected in the big wiring loom. Just observe.
Liam, you're going to say
something else, though. Another tip for picking up your first game, and that is move it yourself. You can get some help maybe from the seller, but don't let the seller do the moving of the game.
No.
Because odds are, a lot of the time, they won't know any more than you do and can do some silly things. Our Tron, when we went to go pick it up, the seller had, for whatever reason, tried taking apart the game didn't know anything about games. I don't know why they did this. And as they went to go and grab the monitor, they carried it over to the trailer and sat it down on the neck.
I had an old lady almost kill herself with a game I picked up.
I remember you telling us about this.
Is this my only pickup so far this year? It might be the Dig Dug that I got on my birthday that Liam found days before, and I had been off Discord for a few days because it was, tail end of the holidays. And this very sweet but very old lady. If you told me she was 90, I would believe you. I would probably estimate her like 80, right? Moving very slowly, super sweet old lady. Game's in her basement. She knows nothing about it. I'm assuming it's like an estate situation or whatever, right? Late husband, something like that. But anyway, sells me this game. She's trying to help, and I'm begging with her, please don't, right? Because I'm worried about her hurting herself, right? I have to make a path through the basement. I'm literally moving furniture out of the way. She's got boxes all over, but that's fine. I don't really mind. I don't want her doing it, right? I don't, right? And there was technically walkout basement, but it's like you walk out of the basement, you immediately turn 90 degrees and go up a set of narrow, steep stairs, right? And so essentially what I had to hand truck it out in one direction, and then take it off the hand truck, let it sit on the landing at the bottom of the stairs. You can't get around it, so we had to go up through the house and around, and then grab it from the other side with a hand truck, right? No problem. So I leave it at the landing at the bottom of the stairs on the outside. We go through the house, go around to the outside. She goes back in on the basement side, and she's trying to help, and I'm like, please don't help, right? And I'm getting it onto the hand truck, and then there's also like an awning, so I have to really lean it back hard to not hit the awning. And she's like trying to help, and you know what happens? The back door falls off and hits her in the head. I swear on my life this happens.
And that's how he got a free Dig Dug.
No, she already had cash in hand. Super slow motion, right? The back door wasn't on all the way, whatever. And Atari cabinets are heavy. Atari back doors are heavy. This is not a Nintendo back door. This is not a Midway back door. This is a full-size Atari upright back door.
2-inch thick MDF.
And I see it happen in slow motion. There's no way for me to reach and grab it, right? And fortunately, she was fine because it only moved like 2 inches, right? But if she was like back, so don't let them help you. They risk damaging the game. They risk damaging themselves. What they're probably worried about, well, I don't want this like hitting my door, hitting my wall, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But their safety and the safety of the game is their health. And the safety of your property is more important than their property.
I would, until you get, somewhat seasoned at game pickup, I would always try and take a buddy with you. I mean,
yep.
For the most part, most pickups I've ever done, road trip.
Sing along, flying down the highway, stopping at a gas station for some pickled eggs.
Yeah. Some of my best experiences in this hobby on pickup wise have been road trips. Heading out to Saskatchewan, like a 6-8 hour drive one way to get to Regina or Saskatoon to pick up a game in, absolute nowhere, and then turn around and come back, almost die on the highway, hitting black ice. It happens, but it's a great experience, right? And
especially if they know more than you, right? If this is literally your first time, bring a buddy who knows, just like if you're going, you know nothing about cars, you saw a car you want to buy, bring your car buddy with you. Yeah, they're going to enjoy doing it, right?
100%.
Buy them lunch, right? And you're both going to have the time of your lives.
100%.
Okay, you didn't get that reference?
Evidently not. I do have a few points to make, though. So for one, when it comes to the seller wanting to help, once again, Stone Cold said it best, DTA, don't trust anybody. Don't let the seller help. I don't even let the seller assist me with backing my truck up, okay?
Really?
No, absolutely not. I don't trust them I'm going to run over their dog or something, and they're going to blame me, even though they're the one backing me up. That's actually something that we were taught when I was working at a furniture delivery place. don't let the homeowner back you up. Have your coworker go out and direct you, because you can't trust them to do it. Because if you like back up and like run over something or hit their house or something, you're liable for it. So don't let the homeowner, don't let the seller do it, because you can't trust them. They don't know what they're doing. Just imagine how stupid the average person is. That's probably who you're buying from. So, don't trust them to do anything.
Well,
On
and
your
half
earlier
of all
point-
people are dumber than that.
Yeah, so just imagine how stupid the average person is, and then realize that half of them are dumber than that. R.I.P. George Carlin.
Median, but same.
So, to your earlier point that the fact that it could just be a fuse, that is a real thing. Sometimes it is just a fuse, and that's happened to me dozens of times. But the fact that it could just be a fuse, oh my God, that's part of the power system. Always start at power. I've been right the whole time.
But what if the paint needs to be touched up, Kay?
Yeah, that's not step one. We're still on step one here.
Who cares?
Always start at power. It's part of the fuse. Fix the fuse. That's part of the power. So
right,
you were talking earlier about,
and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.
You're going through the power, right? And you start with the power cord and going through your interlock switches and power switches and power supply. You're trying to figure out where all the power goes, where it all flows, where your voltages, and you're trying to figure out how everything works. And you're a beginner, you're maybe even an intermediate, and you're just trying to figure out how this game works.
So take care not to let the power flow through you.
Yes. Oh God, yes. If you've never opened up an arcade game before, do not touch the back of the monitor yet.
Listen, being electrocuted
Especially
is
not with
that
both
bad,
hands.
and I feel like it's a rite of passage. But
It is.
anyway,
I'm the way I am because of how many times I've been shocked.
All
by
four
a
of us
CRT.
have shocked ourselves, right?
Oh God.
We've all
yes.
shocked ourselves.
it's
Never on a live monitor.
Hi. Yes.
nothing wakes you up faster. It's better than coffee.
I
But
did it
Oh
once.
my
The
God.
only time I got shocked to the monitor was a dead Geo 7 that had been sitting on my bench for weeks.
That's
filter
for
kept
real,
just
though.
charged.
That's for real.
I've been hit by so many dead Geo 7s. It's not that bad.
The cap on the bottom is one thing, but getting shocked by the tube on a Geo 7 is a completely different ballpark.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe not do that.
Yeah, okay, so little tangent, little short. When we moved into this house like 10 or so years ago, one of the first things that we did was have a small arcade party here. And like a buddy and I, we were rushing through trying to get a couple of my games because I only had like 7 or 8 games at that point in time. Do you know what a Namco Big Black is? Like a Soul Edge cabinet?
Yeah.
They're huge, right?
They're bulky.
They're awesome. Actually, part of the reason why we have this place is because my girlfriend, but now wife, Vanessa figured out that we were going to need a place with big double front doors because I had that cabinet. And so we're rushing trying to get a monitor to work in this stupid game. And twice in half an hour, I got shocked by the tube because I was rushing. I was not taking my time. I was just trying to get a monitor that would work in that cabinet. I eventually ended up putting I think a 32-inch LCD in it, or a TV I had lying around, and put a Game Elf, or no, those one King of Air boards or something like that. Whatever those are called. 160 in one, whatever.
King of Donair.
King of Donair. But yeah, if you've never been hit by a monitor, like try your best not to get struck by a monitor.
Maybe let's talk a little safety here too, because I hear that from people. I hear safety concerns.
It's going to happen, and
yeah,
the initial fear is usually worse than when it actually happens, because you build yourself up so much. It's the anticipation of it happening that you're so afraid of, and then it happens, and it's not that bad.
But hold on, right? So let's think about it a little bit, and this is all whatever. Do not try this at home stuff. For the most part, if you are a healthy individual, 120 volts AC is not going to kill you.
Yeah, right? But 50,000 volts to the monitor go through your
Let me
chest.
get to it, right? And it's not the voltage, it's the amp. That's not even that true. Yeah. But so generally speaking, we're not talking about, I stuck my finger in a socket as a kid and I didn't die, right? That's not what we're talking about, right? One of the things that can very much hurt you is the monitor, because one of the things that the monitor does, the monitor is taking 100, generally, 120 volts AC through an isolation transformer generally, but the monitor runs on AC voltage just like your TV, a CRT TV would. However, one of the things it's doing is it's taking that 120 volts AC and it is cranking it up to something a very, very, very high voltage, like 19 to 25,000 potentially plus volts, right? And even though it's very low current at that high voltage, you don't want that into your body, right? And so most of the times, the nastiest bites you're going to get are from a monitor, right? And I did one time, was working on a live monitor, and I reached for something, and my arm just grazed the back of the neck board, and that's not good, right?
No.
But the biggest thing you want to be careful of is you don't wanting that going between two hands.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the voltage goes in on one side and you're grounded on the other, it's traveling from one arm to the other. And what's on the path between your two hands?
Not for me, but for most part, the
your
heart.
ticker, your heart,
Yeah.
right? So if you somehow manage to touch a live monitor and where it's grounded, that maybe 25,000 volts will go up one arm, across your heart, and down the other one. And that can potentially kill you, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things is, when we can get into discharging a monitor, whatever is, when you're working near voltage that high, you're working with one hand.
Yeah.
One hand is doing something. That other hand, safest thing, tuck it into your back pocket, into the waistband, put it behind you.
Yeah.
So there's almost no way.
Do the Al Bundy. Do the Al
only
Bundy.
reason
reverse Al Bundy.
interacting with a live tube is to have an HV probe and get an HV measurement. That is the only reason you should be interacting with a live tube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, the game can be running, the monitor can be running, and you're making an adjustment, right?
I feel like
some of the tube. There's a difference between the tube.
Right. But the tube's right there. The tube's right there.
Okay, hold on.
And you're reaching in to adjust the pot. Some of them aren't that accessible. You should don't do this with metal screwdrivers. You want to get plastic screwdrivers, often called TV adjustment tools. They're made out of plastic. They're made out of fiberglass. They're not that hard to find.
Recommendation: get a ceramic one on Amazon.
Yeah.
Or wherever. The ceramic ones hold up way better.
Yeah.
Link. I keep the plastic ones because you'll get a pot that's really stubborn. And you end up ruining the tip of the plastic.
No, the ceramic ones.
I've had the ceramic one for years, and it's.
I ruined the plastic ones. Find me a link.
I feel like
DJ was saying, non-conductive tools.
Yeah, there's this point where, to start off, when you're first getting into this and you're working on a monitor, you need to respect it. Don't be afraid of any of this stuff. It's the same with working with power tools, like a table saw. You need to respect it as a tool, as something that can actually hurt you, but you can't be afraid of it. You've got to build up that confidence, eventually get to that point where you feel confident enough to do these tasks to get the job done. But there's a level where you can become overconfident. I have had friends, speaking of woodworking, I've had friends that have put their fingers through a table router. I have had friends that have electrocuted themselves, and they were seasoned veterans in this. So there's a point where, again, you just want to just think through what you're doing. Don't ever rush what you're doing, because you can hurt yourself.
And don't do what I do. And whenever you're taking a monitor chassis off, pull off the anode by hand and tap it to the frame to discharge it.
Oh,
I do that all the time. I'm cocky.
Why? Yeah. Oh.
Well, and usually it's the tube that's got the charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tube,
so
right?
once you discharge it, you just take it over, you rub it against it, and you just tap it again to discharge. You just do that a couple times, you're fine.
So when I'm discharging a monitor, and
don't do as I say.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Don't do as I do either.
Yeah, when we've done a couple of videos on the Canadian Arcade, we've re-released it in recent years about how to wash an arcade monitor, and one of the steps in how to clean an arcade monitor. And this is so like anybody can do this as a beginner. One of the earliest things, or one of the first steps you do, is discharge the monitor. It's a very easy thing to do. You can make a discharge tool at home as long as the power is disconnected from the monitor. It's a screwdriver with a high gauge wire, really firmly connected to that screwdriver. Solder it, or like wrap it with 1,000 meters of electrical tape. Make sure that it's not going anywhere. And then, using one hand with one hand in your back pocket, clip the monitor. Well, you clip the monitor alligator clip on one end of the wire to the frame of the monitor, and the other one will go under that little anode cup. I always like to just wait 5 minutes and then come back and tap it again because the residual charge can hold in the tube. Not as powerful as the main charge, but really all it is a little tiny pop sound. That's it. You're going to get yourself, the first time you do it, you're going to get all worked up that it's this crazy ass. No. Respect what you're doing because it can hurt you. And it's just a little tiny pop sound.
I have videos on this on my TikTok at @prime_arcade. Just saying.
And the reason that happens, the reason you even need to do this, is a CRT tube, cathode ray tube, in some respects acts like a big capacitor. And even if the game is turned off, even if it's been turned off for a while, there is the potential that it can retain that charge, right? And in order for you to safely disassemble it, safely work on it, one of the things you need to do is discharge it. And again, all that's doing is it's shorting the anode, which is, people are like, it's the hole on the back of the tube. It's not a hole, it's a dimple, really.
It's a dimple, yeah.
Like,
that hole in the glass goes nowhere.
It's literally, it's to hold the ears of the anode cap onto it.
Metal clip.
And that discharge tool, because the alligator clip is holding onto the frame and you're sticking the flathead screwdriver under there, it's shorting between 2 points and it's letting whatever residual charge might be in that tube short to the frame and basically dissipate, right? And even if it's been turned off for weeks or months, it's just, there are ways, especially if the monitor's, something's wrong with it, right? Let's say the monitor's not working, but you didn't know that. You powered it on and it didn't work. There's a very good chance that the tube got energized, at least partially, and isn't able to discharge it because there's a break in the path somewhere. A lot of monitors do have self-discharge circuits where eventually it'll bleed itself off. That's not always the case. Liam was saying earlier, Geo7, which is a super, super common monitor, there is a failure mode where one of the fuses can pop and there's a capacitor, not even the tube, there's a capacitor on the board, a relatively large one. That capacitor can hold a charge for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Because that fuse is blown, there isn't a way for that capacitor to basically let go of the charge that's held inside it. And this is, above and beyond what we're talking about, but you can use that self-discharge tube to short that capacitor, clip it to the frame. You don't even necessarily need to clip it, but you do that so it doesn't, it's not dangling around. And you're kind of just like wedging that flathead screwdriver in between the two legs on the solder side of that cap, so that
I will say that particular cap, when you try that with the screwdriver, it's going to make a very loud bang and possibly weld your screwdriver to the bottom of that capacitor.
It could.
Yeah, I've had that happen. I used a small screwdriver on it. One of the first Geo7s I ever worked on, I took a small screwdriver and I was like, because I knew it's a Geo7. I had learned what a Geo7 was at this point. And I went, it was like a 13-inch. I went to go and discharge that cap. And because I used the dinkiest little screwdriver as an old Craftsman one, it just caught it and held it on the board.
By the way, I just bought a brand new set of Craftsman screwdrivers because I had been breaking some and I found them on sale at Home Depot. They're still in the blister pack. It's like 27 screwdrivers that I got for like $19. And I'm looking and it's even got ones that I never had, like the really, really short, stubby ones, but they're like the big fat
handle,
flathead, right? Like looking forward, by the way, right?
This actually is a really nice segue into tools and
high voltage probe.
Getting started. Well, I mean, okay, well, hold on. I didn't know. I've been in this hobby, almost 15 years now. I didn't have a high voltage probe until like 4 years ago.
Did you own Vector games before that?
The Space Duel was one of the first games I ever bought.
Working when you got it?
There was just 2 fuses on the back of the monitor that needed to be replaced.
No.
But I also knew, here's a place where you can learn this if you're new to this. I also knew that you can't just discharge a Vector monitor without a high voltage probe. There are 2 tools, essentially, very, very basic, that you would use to discharge a CRT. You can discharge it with a screwdriver and wires and an alligator clip if it's an every average CRT. But if it's a vector monitor, you should always use a high voltage probe. You can get one of those on Amazon. They're inexpensive. You can pay a lot.
They're not
for them.
inexpensive. They're not inexpensive.
Well, $100 for for something like that is.
I would buy a B&K used on eBay.
Yeah, that's a great way to do
what
it.
I did.
Yeah,
I was one of the first tools I picked up specifically for arcade diagnostic and repair was a high voltage probe. I will say the one that I
$371.99.
As Wayne pointed out in the chat, if you're getting into vector games, a high voltage probe isn't really necessary, but you really should have one. If you're going to be doing a lot of repairs on a vector monitor, you really want to get one.
Yeah, the other thing is a TPG. You should get a TPG.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, if you're going to do any work on monitors, you need a TPG.
Canadian TPG.
Not sold in stores.
Okay, little tangent. The TPG that Jeff and I have been working on is a lot closer to being released.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you a date because we have some other big news that we'll talk about later in the show. That is big news that's happening.
Is it going to be released before or after Adam's FPGA pole position board?
I have no idea. I don't know. But no, Jeff actually got inspired the other day and he was working on his test pattern generator software. It's when is the beta? Liam just posted in the Liam, do you want a White North Retro test pattern generator?
No, I don't. Of course.
Yeah.
It's a closed beta. You're not invited.
We've got a few locals that have them in their hands, and one of them, he's been working on monitors for years. He loves it. So the fact that it's his daily now is pretty cool. So soon, we just don't know how we're going to release it. But anyway, test pattern generator is an important piece of equipment to have. I think just for those beginners out there, because I've watched this happen. One of my friends, Craig, who we got into the hobby not long ago. It's important, especially if you're not an organized person. Like if your organizational skills could always be better. And I think that one of the things that you can get carried away with is the most expensive or too many tools. I think some of the guys here in the podcast will be an advocate of like a Fluke multimeter, but I have never owned a Fluke multimeter. I know that they're a high end,
same.
But I don't need one. Like I've got 2 or 3. I've got Unity multimeters. They're inexpensive. I think I paid like $30-$40 for them at MRO Electronics, which is an electronics chain here in Canada. And they're great. You don't want to buy crap multimeters, but I think like a good $30-$40 multimeter, something with a digital display, a backlight helps.
You do need one that can handle AC voltage readings that are half a volt or lower.
Yes.
Which not every multimeter can do.
No, that's absolutely true. But again, you can get carried away buying tools. I think you go into a Harbor Freight or go into a Canadian Tire and pick up one of their big screwdriver packs or one of their tool packs. Oftentimes these tool packs have all the different screwdriver sizes and types that you're going to need. And then maybe a small like multi-pack of wrenches and vice grips and pliers and stuff like that. I think to get started, that and a basic tool bag, one of those magnetic parts trays, I think is a really good thing to have as well. You can always get a set of 2 of those at Canadian Tire or at Princess Auto or Harbor Freight has them. And you don't have to spend crazy money on tools. Now, the benefit... Go ahead.
I said a tool belt.
Yeah.
Are you wearing it right now and you're about to show us?
No, but like one of those little tiny pocket tool belts that you can like the ones that clip onto your waist that has like a 3 or 4 positions on it.
It has I have a multimeter in there, a USB soldering iron, wire cutters, wire strippers, a screwdriver multi-set, and a monitor adjustment tool. That's basically what's in there.
Now, just so we're clear, just what I was going to say is tools are an investment. 100% tools are an investment, but you want to make sure that you're not spending money that you don't have. Get some basic tools as you need things, but a good basic set of tools. As you need more expensive, more specialized tools, go out and get that. Pay the $300-400, for this, digital microscope down the road. You don't have to do that right away when you first get started. Go out and buy yourself a $100 soldering pencil.
Okay, what's the tool that we're forgetting about that's a must-have?
Well, you'll usually find not
Sledgehammer.
necessarily specialized tools, but you'll find alternative uses for tools, and you'll end up using a tool over and over and over for different things. Like my go-to tool for a lot of things is a hook and scribe. I use a hook and scribe for lots and lots of things.
Do tell.
I use it for anytime I'm working on PCBs. It'll scratch off traces, and I'll also do a lot of cleaning of flux. So if I'm trying to read silk screens, I can scratch off flux with it. If I need to scratch off traces in order to do better soldering, I use my hook and scribe. If I'm pulling up chips, I use my hook and scribe. If I'm doing PCB work, I use my hook and scribe for pretty much everything. I also use it to pick my teeth.
Well, they are
You
almost
want
like
shape lifter.
dental tools.
A little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
But
Get that Dorito out of the corner of your tooth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's perfect. It's taken the place of needle nose pliers sometimes.
Yeah. For
Sometimes
those
you
of
just
you
have a
in
go-to
Canada, a hook and scribe is just a pick. We call them
Pretty
a
much.
pick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pointed on one
I've
side.
never
It's
heard
got a
that
hook on the
term
other.
either, but I do have a pick.
Yes. Yeah. Usually you go to Princess Auto or Canadian Tire or Walmart, and you can get them in a pack of 4 with 4 different ends on them. But they're all pointed end.
Get you some precision screwdrivers, tiny screwdrivers.
Yeah. But again, a basic screwdriver kit. I think probably the most valuable tool that I've ever had. And so a lot of people don't know this. I used to work at Apple. I was a technician there for a number of years. And
You can say it. You were an Apple genius.
no, I wasn't. I wasn't an Apple genius.
He was an Apple
So you-
moron.
So you were a sub.
Oh!
You were a sub.
No. So okay, we don't have to get into this. So when you walk into an Apple store back in my day, 10, 15 years ago, there are 3. She doesn't want to show up on camera. She's just literally her hand. Okay. Anyway, so back in my day,
Just be your assistant.
there used to be 3 separate positions at the back of the Apple store. There were Geni, Apple Genius. They did like Mac repairs, that kind of stuff.
Genius, sub-genius, sub-genius.
No. There were creatives. They did like all lessons on Final Cut and Motion and all that kind of stuff. They taught, big groups of people. They taught one-on-ones. But then there was this middle category of employees called family room specialists. And we did a lot of the mobile repairs. We did a lot of the training. So I got the best of both worlds. So that's what I did. One of the tools that at Apple that we lived and died by, and I still have dozens of them because I'd forget them in my hat. I would, yeah. I would steal them from work inadvertently. I'd leave them in my hat. Actually, I think I have one here. I do. One of the tools that I use quite often is Blackstick. These little tiny spudgers are probably one of.
That's the stylus Steve Jobs said he would never have.
No, it's just a little nylon Blackstick. So Apple
If you
employees
buy one of those iFixit toolkits, they'll come with one.
They'll come with one. You can get these in packs of 5 or 10 on Amazon. They're great. And I've bought in so many of them because they wear out over time. You break the tip off or you dull the edge. These are great. This is what I use to take chips off a board. This is what I use to fit, T-molding, like to clean out a T-molding slot when I'm redoing the aesthetics on a cabinet.
That's what I use a hook and scribe for.
Yeah, but again, same sort of thing, and just not conductive, right? So yeah, this is my kind of go-to tool. I've used these, and I've used this in automotive repair. I've used 3D printing. Every DIY project I have probably a dozen of these around my house. This is the tool.
And now you can 3D print them.
Yeah, I would never do that. It's 3D. Yeah, no. But
yeah,
see, I would just do that. I would just leave them in my hat and I would walk home. I would totally forget about them.
Another tool that I recommend is flush cutters. especially if you're doing like
Wire
Essential.
repair.
recaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, flush cutters definitely.
Flush
useful.
cutters, side cutters. Yep.
Yeah. Comment was made. Resetting chips is a basic to know. Yes, it is. I
And
would
get a chip lifter. Oh, we have chip lifter.
get a chip lifter or like a hook and scribe or a black stick, but like don't use a flathead screwdriver. Go slow. Lift it up on one side. Lift it up on the other side. Try not to break the legs on the pin or the chip, and then inspect it for any corrosion or damage, and then reinstall it.
And even just the theory here of what Chance is talking about is, so let's say you've done all the stuff, right? The monitor's turning on, the cabinet's turning on, the monitor's turning on. You're getting some sort of just blank image on the screen, but the game's not running, right? Could be
or like a rug pattern.
We've kind of skipped over the power supply, right? But you've already done that. We didn't talk about that, but power's going to the power supply. Like Kay was saying very early on, it's putting out the correct voltages. Those voltages are going to the board, but the board's not working, right? Oh no, you've got a board issue. I need to send it to somebody across the country. Maybe you do, but before you get there, a couple of things. Make sure the edge connector or whatever, however the harness plugs into the board, make sure that's plugged in correctly and the wires don't look all jacked up. But like DJM is saying here, reseating the chip. So what that means is, you look at a circuit board, it's going to have lots of chips, right? Lots of integrated circuits, microchips, whatever, right? Some of those are likely plugged into sockets, right? So some of them are probably soldered directly onto the board. Some of them are pushed into sockets, right? A socket is, basically that gets soldered to the board, and the chip plugs into the socket. There's little holes for all the legs to go in there, and it gets plugged. It's plugged in, so it makes it easy to remove if you need to remove it without having to desolder them, because desoldering ICs is not the most fun thing in the world, right? But 40 years after, 45 years, maybe 50 years after this thing was manufactured, the chips can almost walk themselves out, right? Because you have different metals.
Corrosion in those sockets.
Right.
Yeah.
You have different metals that'll expand and contract at slightly different temperatures. The chips can almost back themselves slightly out of the socket. Chance was saying there could be corrosion in there, oxidation, whatever. So one of the things you could do is take the board out completely. If it's a multi-board stack, you probably want to take those boards apart, so you're dealing with a single board at a time. And one of the, if you're even a little bit scared, just push down on the chips. Have some sort of somewhat soft surface underneath. A silicone soldering mat is a great thing to have, or you don't want to do this on a metal surface, maybe a softer wood workbench or a plastic work table, something like that, where if you press down, you're not going to absolutely crush the thing, right? But you can push down on each of the chips, or even better would be to completely remove the chip from the socket, point your eyeballs at it to make sure it doesn't look like it's full of gunk or rusted or whatever, and then put it firmly back in place. Do that for all the socketed chips, which will likely include one or more CPUs, so the main brain of the circuit board, ROM chips, which is where the program code for the game resides on those ROM chips. And often the RAM chips will be socketed too, because the RAM chips is often something that gets replaced, right? RAM chips are usually, not always, usually the smallest ones. ROM chips are in the middle. CPUs are usually the biggest, not always, but you can remove them entirely and then reseat them back into the socket. Make sure you're putting it back into the same socket you took it out of, in the same orientation, right? You don't want to put them in backwards. I've made that mistake. But that is a good sort of second step for board repair. First step is make sure the harness is plugged in, edge connector or multi-point connector, or however that game connects. Reseat all the socketed chips, right? Because you don't want to be that guy who thinks your board is broken, pays shipping both ways plus a repair fee, and you send it out to somebody who specializes in super whatever complex board repair, and when all of it was, hey, one of your ROM chips wasn't plugged in all the way, right? It was kind of halfway out of the socket, right? And anyone can do that. It's not that hard. But yeah, good tip from DJM.
I think like when it comes to reseating chips, or if you're going to pull the chip out, it's very important just to understand the basics of what a chip's polarity is. On almost every single little chip on a printed circuit board, there's a little dot or a little cutout. That
A notch.
that coincides with the socket that it's coming out of. That usually coincides, not always, but usually coincides with the silkscreen, the design printed on the PCB. And again, take your time, look at it, take notes, take pictures. In fact, the whole reason my channel got started was because I wanted to know what I was taking apart, and I wanted video record of it as I was taking it apart. So, just observe. And if you don't know, ask. If your cat jumps up on the table and knocks all your pile of chips in the nice little organized fashion that you had, and they go everywhere, collect them all up, and then just Google it. Google what that board looks like. Ask a friend.
Almost every single board, there are high-res pictures of it on the internet, and you can find it and see that. And again,
there's actually a tool on Kalof now that's a board identifier. You can just go through boards alphabetized and have images of all of them.
Did not know that.
In the manual, there's often a drawing of the board, board layout. It'll have, and you
don't have to read a schematic to be able to look at that drawing too. That's one of the nice things. Like Liam mentioned earlier, like check the schematic, but I know a lot of people just don't know. I still to this day barely know how to read a schematic.
But you can read a wiring diagram.
Hell, I barely know how to read.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, the wiring diagram, right? Knowing that, hey, these are all the things. This is how everything is supposed to be connected.
This is the color of the wire that goes from here to here.
Don't trust it if it's a Valley Midway manual, but
No. But I mean, again, like
basically you can trust it if it's Atari or Williams. Everything else is suspect.
I think one of the most important pieces of advice that I can give anyone getting into this hobby, bar none, is no matter what, no matter how new or how old you are in this hobby, you still might screw up. And that's okay. It's a learning experience. One of the first things I ever messed up was a Nintendo versus PCB. I had a bunch of people over. We were doing an arcade thing with our friends. I had just got a red tent. I had some extra chips. I was going to swap, I think it was Balloon Fight for Wrecking Crew. And I put two of the most important PCBs, or two of the most important chips backwards on the PCB. I was
not the PPUs.
They were the PPUs.
Not the PPUs.
I fried both PPUs. And it happens, right? And just so we're abundantly clear, I've screwed up as bad or worse recently. A couple of months ago, I got a Popeye board set back from a buddy of mine who just did a full repair on it, and I plugged the edge connector in backwards. I fried the board. Yes, it was my Skyskipper board.
Your TX1 or whatever it's called?
No. That will never get converted. I'm talking about like a Popeye board that I have
You fried the Skyskipper?
I fried the Skyskipper board. But again,
how come we didn't lead with that?
It's not important. But the point is, like, my point is that accidents happen. I was in such a I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I've got the board back. I think this was back in November, actually. November. Yeah, it was in the middle of winter or the fall. Sorry. I got the board back from Andre, and because the harness I had didn't have the key in it. Someone years ago had pulled the little plastic key out of the edge connector. I put it in backwards and I fried the board. Now, that board has since made its way back to Quebec and it's getting inspected. It's not that bad because I was able to swap parts on it and get it running again. But it's not like it caught fire. Accidents will happen. Whether you're 5 days into this or 50 years into this, you will screw up, and that's okay. It's a learning experience.
I've had boards catch fire. I do keep fire extinguishers in my garage, but wow. I did an episode where it was, hey, I got a bunch of boards, completely untested, no idea. Let's plug them in and see what happens, right? And I had I think it was a Frogger, not the one that's in my cabinet, but I had a Frogger where a tantalum burst into flames. Tantalum cap burst into flames. Those do not smell good, right? It is a good idea to
Okay,
have
cool.
fire extinguisher. I've never had to actually use the fire extinguisher, knock on wood, but have a fire extinguisher around. If you need fire extinguisher recommendations, Jerry Voluptuous can point you in the right direction. But yeah.
On that note, something else, while we're being honest with ourselves about other things that we've screwed up, I just remembered something. And Liam, actually, you're not going to care.
What'd you do?
Charlie, you're going to probably hate this more. When I first got my red tent, not long after
not
long after I did a raid to an old arcade vendor up north. I was fairly new, probably about a year or two into this hobby. Just so you know, there are certain Nintendo monitors, actually all Nintendo monitors, their power plug is a 2-prong wall outlet. You cannot.
No, you didn't.
You cannot plug a red tent monitor into the wall.
Also, those monitors are unobtainium, right?
Yeah.
A lot of monitors, like a tip, like if you just like Liam, if let's say that was it a Geo7 in the Tron?
Yeah,
The seller put it on the next.
Yeah.
If you destroy a Geo7, guess what? There are other Geo7s out there.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can take a commercial TV tube and Frankenstein it and get it.
So hold on.
It's very specific.
Trust me, I'm no stranger to unobtainium monitors.
When you
very specifically the Nintendo 18-inch Sanyo XM 1801N monitor from the Nintendo Red Tent.
A gray power cord, a 2-prong North American power cord. If you plug that into
also
the wall,
used in Japan.
Yeah, you will fry the yoke on that monitor. You'll fry a lot of things on that monitor. Now, interesting, yeah. The yokes go bad on those things anyway. Fun fact: you can use a Wells. There's a certain
ding. There you go, Mike.
Yeah, K7000.
Skinny neck K7000 yoke can be used on
an 18-inch
monitor.
red tent monitor. Yes.
Thank you, Mike Jensen, Mike's Amateur Arcade Monitor Repair.
What are we?
Another fun fact: on the audio amp, there's 2 plugs that are keyed the same, JB and JC, and if you switch them up, you will blow up your PCB.
Yes, you will.
Ask me how I know.
Monitor.
People do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's another weird thing. That's another weird thing.
Time.
Nintendo monitors also do sound amplification. So most monitors have
the sound amp in the most noisy part of the cabinet electrically.
So most monitors have a power. All monitors have a power connection. All monitors have video and sync input. Sometimes it's one plug, sometimes or one set of one connector. Sometimes it's split into 2. Most cabinets have a ground that goes to the frame at least of the monitor. Nintendo cabinets also have audio in and audio out from the monitor. The monitors don't have speakers. The amplification, the sound amplification, little board for Nintendo is not on the game PCB. It's not on a separate board. It's on the monitor, right?
Yeah, the back of the monitor.
So if you want to put it's not easy. One of the reasons it's not easy to put a non-Nintendo monitor in a Nintendo game is where's your amp, right? Where's your sound amplification? Atari said, we're not going to do that. We're going to put it on the power supply.
Yeah.
So that AR2, which AR stands for regulator audio. So we say AR instead of RA for some reason, but it does both the power, regulation, right? It takes the AC and turns it into DC and whatever voltages, but it also does the sound amplification on the power supply board. But we got another mic here. We got mics coming out of our ears.
Okay, just to go back to it though, my point is you will screw up. You're going to screw up, and it's okay. It's a learning experience. We're human. I've done it.
Most of us are.
Multiple times. Yeah. K, maybe not so much.
No, never.
K's infallible.
I don't even have videos of me doing it on my TikTok.
No. And if I had TikTok, I could prove that.
That might be fun. Kate, Chance has already kind of done this. What's the biggest screw ups you guys have done?
I'm trying to think.
trying to think, you have to think about it.
You have to think about it. I have to find the biggest one.
I have necked tubes. I caught one time on camera where I was just trying to. I was working on the Geo7 that came in my Pango. I was just trying to take the neck board off, and I was being delicate. But one of the pins on the neck must have been stuck somehow in the neck socket, pulling it out, and I just started hearing very faintly a hissing sound, right? Which meant that the vacuum was compromised on the tube because the inside of the CRT is a vacuum, right? Pulling that pin out broke the seal basically, and that tiny little pinhole was letting air. It's not air coming out; it's air going in, and there's nothing you can do. I caught it on camera. It's sort of the worst sounds, right? I was working on. I didn't do this, but I was working on a 4600 this week. I thought the tube was having an issue. So I wanted to grab another 4600 tube and swap it out and see if that fixed it. So I grabbed another 4600 tube. Before I put it on my monitor, I'm like, hey, let me throw this on my Rejuvenator, which is also a good tool to have if you work on monitors. I threw it on my Rejuvenator, which can also just test tubes, right? And so I'm setting it up. It's plugged in. I'm able to set up, the heater voltage and the G1 voltage. And then I go to set cutoffs, and none of the pins are responding, which probably means, well, maybe this tube is kind of shot, worn out, whatever. That's not the end of the world. But then I go to test, and nothing moves, right? Nothing moves. And I go to rejuvenate and blast them full force, all three guns. There's nothing, like, it doesn't even look like the rejuvenator's not doing anything. And it was because the vacuum was lost. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with this? I went to grab another tube, a third tube. That tube was missing the little plastic cap that is like the pin guide thing. What's the name for that thing? That goes on the end.
The key?
The key, right? It's not 100% necessary, but it helps keep the pins
straight.
It's
the socket. It's like the part of the socket.
The other end, it's like the male side, right? Of the plastic socket. So I go to pull that off of the second tube. And guess what I find inside? A nice nipple of glass.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute end of the glass of the neck had been broken inside of that thing. Probably before I even got it, but that's how I found that. I plugged the CPU into a Tempest PCB backwards and powered it on. After realizing that, I turned it off, turned the CPU around, plugged back in. The game booted. The CPU still wasn't perfect, but I did replace it. What else? I've shocked myself on. It was a red tent monitor that I shocked myself on. That because I've got a red tent monitor in my Donkey Kong Jr. Cocktail. What else have I screwed up? I have a scar on the inside of my knee from a wire wheel because I was using a wire wheel to do something like probably a control panel or something, and I was holding I was holding the metal control panel between my knees. I was and then holding one end of the control because I'm really trying to get some force into it, and it slipped and it went through the sweatpants I was wearing. So I've got a little scar. Imagine and it just ripped the flesh, but it's all those tiny little, tips of the wire wheel went into the skin of my knee. What about you, Kay? What are some of your horror story screw ups?
I'm not sure which one is the worst. I'll let you guys decide. But I necked two monitors in one day.
Mm-hmm.
They were both just 19-inch monitors. I don't remember what model chassis, but I was pulling one out of a cabinet, and I dropped it down too suddenly and just caught it on the edge of the shelf and heard that magical noise.
Ugh.
And at some point later in the day, I stupidly had another monitor just sitting on the ground, and I stepped back, and my ankle hit the neck, and I heard that noise again. This was like within an hour of necking the other one. So back to back, I just necked two in the same day.
Have any of you guys shattered a CRT?
On purpose, yes.
Yeah.
Just
to
on
dispose
purpose.
of it. Yeah.
But not accident.
Not an accident. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tossed a CRT off of the second story of my shop and filmed it. That was just for fun.
Sorry, Kay, when you necked that second monitor, did you just quit for the day and walk away, or
I
like?
did. I decided I was just cursed and I didn't want to continue.
Just go on Facebook Marketplace, old TVs for free.
I was at a customer's house and I needed to install a new power supply on a cocktail machine. So I just needed to snip a power cord so I could splice it and attach the wires to the power supply. So I went ahead and snipped the power cord, but I forgot to unplug it first.
Oh,
So I snipped a live wire, which luckily my cutters had
Nice job, MacGyver.
yeah.
luckily my cutters had insulated handles. So all I did was blow the breaker on their house. But they were standing there watching me do it.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So I just looked very professional. So
Nothing says
like, yeah.
expert like tripping a breaker at a customer.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, where's your fuse box?
Oh.
I plugged in a monitor that I was working on that I just repaired, and I had attached everything to it except for the anode. I had left that undone on the flyback and plugged it in, and yeah, just let that start kind of flying everywhere.
I've done that.
I've done that.
But I recognize it immediately and turn, because I usually will turn on a power switch and like hold my hand close to the power switch.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, I was holding the plug, so it makes a very high pitched noise.
It does. Yeah. And if it makes contact with the frame of the monitor,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
you're just
You could just watch that electricity just arc to the frame.
Yeah.
As it flies back and forth from all the high voltage, and yeah, it's a very high pitched noise. It was fun to hear.
I had a clip fail on a Geo7, and it did that to me. When I was putting the cup back onto the back of the tube, the clip hadn't gone in all the way, but it looked like it had because the cup had latched onto the back of the glass. And I went to go around to the front of the game and reach up and turn it on, and it was on a Williams cabinet. And it's like the monitor's all messed up, and it's like I go around the back and I'm like, oh, turn it all off.
He's like, yeah, me too, except for the part where I didn't put the cup on there at all.
Yeah, well,
it was a cocktail, so it was wide open, and I had a very great view of what I was doing.
Was the customer watching you then too?
No, that was just me in the shop. I wish I'd been filming. That would have been great. But
can we vote on which one was the worst as you asked? Because like I think in front of the customer breaking his fuse is like it happens.
That was pretty fun. There's also the time that I did swap the plugs on the it was Donkey Kong Jr. that I was working on, where I swapped the plugs on the audio amp, plugged it in, and watched sparks come shooting out of the PCB. Oh. Which I'm not the first cat to do that, because I found a repair guide online of exactly which components to replace when you do that. So yeah, I guess I'm not the first guy to do that. But those are the ones that come to mind. I do have quite a few videos where there were some pretty spectacular failures of monitors, typically just flybacks failing, where there's either they're arcing to the frame or there's actual flames shooting out of them.
Yeah.
And but I did have I had the camera going at the time, and I did let it go for a while so I could get some good footage out of it. But that's not necessarily a failure. That's just a failing flyback. Flyback. Yeah. And I just happened to get some footage out of it. So I don't consider that a failure on my part. That's just a failing component, which I happen to film, which is fun because when they go, they go, and it's you can get some pretty good height out of those flames.
When a Geo7, the crappy Geo7 flybacks, the ones that are known to be bad, having one of those things blow up in front of you when it's totally not your fault is cool.
I've had a Matsushita flyback burst into flames, caught that on camera. I was at my buddy's house. He's the one with the arcade, Back to the Media in Winchester, Virginia. I've been to his house a couple times, and one of the things I like to do when I go there is he's always got tons of projects that he's never touched. And like, hey, let's take 2 hours, crush a couple adult beverages, and just triage these things, right? Mm-hmm. And so like the triage is open up the back. What's going on? Is everything plugged in? Okay, looks okay. This isn't a super expensive game. Let's turn it on and see what happens. And one was a missile command upright. There were no cat people inside. We turned it on, and the Geo7 flyback just like turned into a smoke machine and basically filled his garage. We had to open up the main garage door, right? Yeah, like, oh, well, we know one thing's wrong with this one. But the first time we did that, we had like 6 out of 10. We got literally playable from 0, right? And most of them needed some kind of, improvised solution to get them up and running.
All right, Liam, what is the worst screw up you've ever had? And it's probably it's electronic, I'm guaranteeing.
No, actually.
Oh.
I was going to say that pretty much all of my screw ups are cosmetic. Because if something goes wrong electronically, I don't think there's anything I've irreparably destroyed. The only electronic thing that comes to mind is actually the power supply on iRobot. Because I got that dead, and I was trying to fix it. And one of the things with the iRobot supply is it doesn't work unless it has a pretty large load on that supply at all. It will not boot.
Dumb design.
So I made an adapter that would supply the load to the power supply, plug into the headers. So I was working on this on the bench, and I had plugged it into my bench power strip and was testing it as I was busy replacing suspect components. And at one point, I put the thing down on the solder that was coming off of my solder wheel.
Oh.
And
so you basically shorted a bunch of stuff on the board
at the
same time.
And I turned it on, and immediately the entire audio section exploded, and took out a whole bunch of stuff all the way up and down.
This was just recently too, wasn't it?
This was like last year.
Yeah.
So that was bad, but I think I got it fixed in like a couple days after that, so it wasn't the worst.
Of course not.
The thing that I am genuinely upset about, and I'm still mad at myself over this, is recently, this is still fresh. I got a Demon marquee, an original one. And
Rockola Demon, very uncommon.
Rockola Demon, extremely rare game.
Yeah.
And this marquee, I don't know what Rockola was doing with this, but they constructed it weirdly, and it sort of had like a press and seal laminate on the front of the marquee. And this one, it was delaminating halfway through. So one half of the marquee, the front had lifted off and was peeling some of the artwork with it. So I was trying to figure out what should be done to try to preserve the marquee. The idea was to use triple thick,
which can be dangerous,
to reattach the laminate. Spray some triple thick, put something heavy on it, leave it. Unfortunately, the triple thick melted all the ink immediately. It turned into a sludge, and I feel horrible about that. I just feel like in that instance, I failed as a custodian of a rare piece and destroyed it. And I am extremely upset about that still.
It's one of those things where I've done, I've destroyed a Williams bezel with triple thick, but it's also one of those things that a lot of people will tell you to do. A lot of people will say hey, I've got this flaking piece of artwork on this glass. It's 40, 50
I've
year
used
old.
triple thick to great effect for certain things.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
I just did one. I just did one on my Pac-Man Cabaret bezel.
There's no guarantee that it will work. And you know what? Here's the thing. I've had it work and not work on pretty much the exact same piece of art. I had two separate, I had from an operator raid, I had a whole bunch of old Williams bezels and marquees, and I destroyed 3 of the bezels, but 5 of them were fine.
I still have the Demon marquee. I'm not getting rid of it. and I will attempt to restore it. I have a plan to fix the damaged area.
Buy a new one.
But what do you mean buy a new one?
I just sent you a link to it.
That's why I just said buy a new one.
But that really sucked. I feel like most of the times that I've messed something up and felt bad about it, it's been a cosmetic, because I lack the skill necessary to be satisfied with cosmetic work that I do.
I think it's subjective. Like, going back to what we first started saying, like, someone walks down into your basement, they see that game, like even a collector. If you got that demon up and running, like you had it fully redone, and you were like personally feeling like the cosmetics were like a 5 or a 7 out of 10, no one's gonna care. They're not gonna be impolite and go, yeah, well, your paint is kind of, peeling on this one, or like you didn't use the right T-molding and it's showing a thin edge on that. No, nobody's gonna care.
It's funny you say that, because I made that call with my Pac-Man Cabaret, right? Which I would say is probably a low 7 cosmetically. Patina doesn't bother me. This past week, my 13-year-old needed to get on a Zoom call for sports, and it was too noisy upstairs. So I had him come down, literally sit right here, do the Zoom call here. And as I'm getting him set up, the Pac-Man is like in a nice little nook, like right behind the monitor here. He's sitting there and he's looking at it because it's like the new thing here. So he's looking at it. He's like, "You gonna repaint that?"
Straight to jail.
And I'm like, little.
Yeah, no, straight to jail.
Are you gonna repaint that? Are you gonna repaint that?
Go right to jail. Like,
every time I've decided to repaint something, except for the joust, I've regretted it. Every single time.
What are you doing wrong? Why?
It's just, I feel like
you're not doing anything wrong. Like, what do you? Okay, what's the end result?
Mediocre cabinet.
Okay, but what makes it mediocre? Why are you not happy with it? Why do you feel that it's a 5 out of 10?
Because I do silly things like overspray.
You forgot the ankle.
I forgot the ankle on joust. My joust, the cabinet's name is Achilles because the bird on the side has no ankles.
Missing the ankle.
But just silly things like that. I put on the CPO wrong, and I'm like looking at it like I could do it again or just leave it. Yeah,
but you're learning from that, right? Like, we do this to get better at it, arguably. Like, yeah, but you are learning from it. You've come miles. You've been doing this for what? How long now?
Several years.
You know what? The time doesn't matter. Now that I think about it, but every time you screw up, it's an opportunity to learn why you screwed up.
Okay, I think you've been sitting on one that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know how many machines I've loaded and unloaded out of a truck, but it's in the hundreds, if not thousands. So it's amazing that I've only dropped, a couple out of the truck. One that I have accidentally thrown off of the truck was an exceptionally rare game. Not necessarily valuable or one that anyone cared about, but it was very rare. It was called P's Attack. It's P''S Attack. It's a Korean game, I think. It's a shooting game from like 2000 or so. And it's like an alien invasion. It's a very goofy game. But it
built
came
by Uniana.
Yeah, it came in. I had never heard of it either until I had it. It came in a dedicated cabinet. It had a very nice high resolution, like 27-inch CRT in it. But it's a unique game.
Well, how unique, you might ask? In the entire history of the Vintage Arcade Preservation Society, there's been exactly one ever registered.
But rarity does not equate to popularity. Is it a good game?
I thought it was neat. It had a lot of like weird pop culture references, like American pop culture references from a Korean point of view. So it's just a lot of really just goofy stuff going on. It was a very unique and goofy game, but it was fun. I had loaded into the truck to take it to the store where I was displaying games for sale, because this is before I had my shop and I was still working out of my garage. So I took games to a game store that I was renting a space from to have machines on display. And I lifted it up on the lift gate, and it fell off of the truck. And I heard the hiss from the CRT. It did not survive the drop. And evidently, the PCB did not survive the drop either, because I wasn't able to transfer it to another cabinet. The guns are very unique. I couldn't find another cabinet that they would actually work on. I did end up selling the guns and the PCB and everything to somebody else. I don't know what they ended up doing with them. Yeah. No, I told the story of how they didn't work, and someone on Claw bought them. But that was a completely unique cabinet that no more. I killed it. Unfortunately.
That's too bad.
P's attack couldn't withstand K's attack.
Yeah, that's correct. My attack was superior. It could not withstand gravity.
Ugh.
So did we cover the basics? Like, we have barely touched cosmetics.
Yeah.
I felt like we covered a good solid 60 to 70% of the basics.
You know, at the end of the day, there's enough YouTube videos out there that, you know, again,
produced by all of us.
Exactly.
Go watch them.
TikTok.
But
occasionally.
Yeah. But there's enough content out there now, and there's enough people out there. Like, it's not, the internet is a wealth of information. And again, going back, as long as you ask the right questions, as long as you stop and observe.
Like, the thing with AI, like how it's confidently wrong, right? Like, I'll get into arguments with it, and it'll like, here's the link to Claws to prove that I'm right, and I'll go read it, and it's like, no, that was the first post by someone who had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
And there's 10 pages explaining why they were wrong.
It's funny. Some of the times I've asked the AI stuff about arcade in general, a non-zero amount of times it's cited me to me.
Yeah.
I've had that. Yeah.
The only time I've ever actually used specifically ChatGPT to diagnose a problem was my Battlezone, and it was wrong. It was wrong, but it did lead me to the path of what I should have done, and that's, you know, pull the fuse out and check it out of circuit.
Did it link you to an old BYOC post of yours that's no longer available?
God, could you imagine?
Anytime I've ever asked AI anything, it just says, that's a great question, and then it tells me to drink bleach. So,
but okay, I just to wrap up the topic before we get on to the final bit, just there's a really nice after effect to all of this. You become more confident and you become more handy. I have since learned how to fix appliances. Like, I did the dishwasher in our kitchen stopped working the other day. It was the little heat thermostat sensor thing. I had the tools, cracked it apart, looked, oh, hey, that's a burnt connector. Cool. Replaced it. There's I think it was on Clav or BYOC. A guy bought a French door fridge for like pennies on the dollar, brand new fridge. It was a blown capacitor inside it. So, like, there are some knock-on effects with getting this, and the confidence of learning a new skill set is huge. That's 90% of the reason why I start any project I do, arcade or otherwise, is to learn a new skill set. So it seems like it's overwhelming to get started, but really at the end of the day, you're going to learn a ton of stuff, and you're probably going to screw something up along the way. So
yeah, if you think about it, working on arcades or arcade machines is like a combination of woodworking and painting and electrical and electronics and engineering and
mechanics.
It's all these things just kind of rolled up into one, and you kind of get a rudimentary understanding of everything as you go through it. So
and weight distribution on a trailer.
Yeah, and throwing things off of said trailer sometimes.
And shocking yourself. So I think we did a good job, guys. Hopefully folks out there appreciated it. Maybe next month we do cosmetics. Intro to that, side art, CPOs, cabinet work, using cutoff wheels to build custom reinforced monitor mounts.
Fine. You'll sit there, you'll learn a thing or two, it'll be great.
Tell us what not to do.
We all started somewhere.
So why don't we go in reverse now, following Chance's new format? and do our typical intros as outros now. Tell people, anything you pick up recently, what content has been on your channel recently, and what's coming up soon. Maybe starting with Kay.
What did I pick up recently? I did have a guy bring me a whole bunch of 8-liners. That was pretty cool.
Hey, monitors.
Hey, he brought me 18 of them, and
18,
and they were free.
Those are like the high point pistol of monitors.
Did you see Arcade Jason's April Fool's joke? He had an
6100s.
Yeah, he's like he bought an entire tractor trailer.
I saw that and I tried to repost it in our little group, and like somebody called it out. It's like, that's AI. I'm like, shut up.
So 8-liners, Kay.
Yeah.
I also got a sorcerer pinball machine that was part of it was part of a trade. It's actually in beautiful condition. Like cosmetic wise, it's like a 9.5 out of 10. This thing is pretty.
Seen one of those in a long time.
Now
The boards are trashed.
no, actually the issue with it is that the transformer went up in smoke at some point. It's black, but it's one that I went and diagnosed like I want to say 6 or 7 years ago for the customer, and they actually went on eBay and found another transformer for it and bought it, but they never had me go back out and work on it again. So they have the transformer for the replacement, but they ended up just trading it in towards a purchase that they made from me. They bought a firepower pinball from me and a multicade and traded the sorcerer in for credit. So, but they actually have first refusal rights towards that sorcerer. So if they want to buy it back whenever I'm done fixing it, they have first dibs on it. But it's an absolutely beautiful looking machine.
It's a fun game.
I'm looking forward to working on it. I did play a couple of them when I was at a TPF, so I did get a feel for how it plays. I also took a few pictures of some of the mods and stuff that they did to those. They one of them they took the rails and like the legs and the lockdown bar and everything, and they sandblasted and powder coated it like this really nice crimson red just to match the theme. It's beautiful. Then I looked up how much it would cost to do that, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably not doing that, but it looks cool. The biggest update recently is that my girlfriend here has quit her job and she's now working for me full time. So I now have an employee.
Wow.
Conflict of interest.
Her first day was Monday.
Hey, she's on
Nice.
the,
She's on the camera.
I told you she's real. She exists.
What was that HR orientation like?
The HR orientation was don't worry about it. Why are you asking so many questions?
Your bonus is up.
Congratulations to both of you.
Yes.
Say just
wait for that 360 review.
Yes.
say telling all my friends about it. They're like, you've been doing well enough to actually hire an employee, and the answer is yes. And I have so much of a backlog that is absolutely necessary to have that. So it's very good that I will have assistance to actually start going through that backlog because of how many machines I have in the queue. And her first order of business whenever she walked in was how much of a disaster the building looked like. So she took it upon herself to start moving and organizing the mess that was the project pile. And she's already put quite a dent into getting a lot of things organized and just kind of putting together things into a lot better organization than it was before.
She next to tube, she's fired.
No, if I've done it twice in one day, then I wouldn't expect her to do any less. It's fine. She's not going to break anything. She's competent, more competent than me, which is not a high bar. But I
know.
Common with the employer-employee relationship.
Yeah.
You're now the useless executive.
Yeah, no one asked her what her worst mess up was.
What was it?
Yeah, what was it? See, now you put her on the spot.
Not that I guess I've done like a lot, but I had a capacitor blow up that I replaced on a monitor chassis.
Was it in backwards?
Yeah, she installed it backwards.
Yeah.
Was it
That
that
happens.
one on the Geo7?
No, she has done a Geo7, but she did not install that one backwards.
Smart. Good.
Is she going to be in any of your videos? working on stuff with you?
She's been in my videos previously anyway, but
She's in it right now.
Feature one still.
No, I mean like when Kay pulls 90-inch plasmas out of dumpsters.
I actually have
She's holding the camera saying, "What are you thinking?"
I have a screenshot on my phone now of a free TV that I found on Facebook Marketplace, and I was like, "Is this going to be my next video?" But I never end up going to get it.
Yes.
She already has a background from her previous job of doing a lot of repairs because she worked at Dave & Buster's. So she's already been working on stuff, but that's a lot of modern stuff. So she had worked with me previously on doing some monitor recaps and stuff like that, but she is going to be learning a lot more of classic game repairs with me, and she's going to be taking a lot more of an active role on doing repairs as well. So we are going to start tackling a lot more of my queue together. So most likely she's going to appear in those videos because she's going to be doing a lot of the repairs. So how could she not?
Sorry, question from the audience. Which Dave & Buster's specifically?
Why, are you going to go there and ask about it?
No, I've been to a fair number of Dave & Buster's in the United States.
In Western Texas?
What are you, a cop?
No. I've been to five different Dave & Buster's.
Well,
there are many more than 5.
No, I know, but I'm curious. I'm asking.
There's like the only one in West Texas. Come on.
I don't know that. I didn't know she worked there before. Like the way you said it, like
Chance, America's a big country.
It's a smaller country than Canada. Thank you very kindly. So
not where people live.
Yeah, who cares? I've been to a bunch of them. I'm just saying, like the way you said it, she might have been to the one in Anaheim or the one in Times Square. Like you don't know.
She's only worked in one.
I didn't. Well, but you didn't say which one. That's why I asked.
The one in the town in which she lives, which is not in Anaheim or.
Well, I didn't know. That's why. Anyway, moving on.
Ugh. She's not that long distance of a girlfriend.
But like I didn't think that like the way you had said it, it wasn't like she had just left her job at Dave & Buster's. You said also she has worked at Dave & Buster's. Why are we arguing about this? Is this dumb?
She quit her job 2 weeks ago.
So. Oh, okay. At Dave & Buster's.
Yes.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Chance, what about you? What's cooking?
What was the question? So some big news. The arcade we put at the Calgary Stampede last year?
Yep, we did an episode on it. Multiple.
Yes, we did. We have been asked back to the 2026 Calgary Stampede, and we have some big plans.
What are your big plans?
More than double the space.
Wow.
More than double the games. Yeah.
He's going to fly the 3 of us up there. We're going to record a live episode.
More than double the Miss Pac-Mans.
Look. If you guys I got a couple of spare. Vanessa's still watching. I got a couple of spare places to stay here. If any of the 3 of you guys are coming up for a couple of days during Stampede, I'd love it.
Sleep in the racing sim.
No, you don't want to sleep. I've fallen asleep in that thing. It's not great. It's actually not bad, but like we got spare rooms for the 3 of you. It's a big house, but no. So yeah, we're coming back. Unless
we're so back, baby. We're so back.
Yeah, unless lightning strikes the transmitter, we've been invited back, and we already started to make plans. And I've been working in Photoshop doing the art package and a bunch of other stuff. So
you're gonna get like 50% of all the loonies in circulation in Alberta going through your arcade.
That's one of the things we're going to switch only to dollar coins. We're not going to do quarters anymore. It's just going to be dollar coins. Having 2 currencies was silly. But anyway, so more on this in the future. But yeah, for we're back.
Tickets are on sale now.
Yeah, come to the 2026 Calgary Stampede. Come say hi. Like literally, it's a few months out. You have time to make plans to come to what is billed as the greatest outdoor show on earth. It's over 100-year-old show. Like, come say hi. I'll be there, pin to pin, every single day. But yeah, so that's the big news. Other than that, there's not much else arcade that's going on. We've already talked about My Wild Gunman's done. And some work has been done on the test pattern generator as of recently, but I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to get Liam's hopes up, just in case.
Love it. How about you, Liam?
Specifically, just to leave Liam hanging.
No. I just don't want to promise something because we announced that thing like 3 years ago, and we never. It was just not. We had things that we wanted to do to it to make it a little bit better, and it just sat on the shelf. But we're working on it.
So, Liam, we are all sworn to spoilers.
I'm just
right?
working on.
Oh yeah, dude,
right
Liam.
I'm looking for stuff for my Omega Race cockpit. Still.
Yeah.
So I would love to find the transformer block and wiring harness for the Omega Race cockpit before I make one.
Mm-hmm.
I have designed a wiring diagram that could use a Atari power brick and AR to run Omega Race, but that's my last resort because I have those parts. So I'd rather see if I can find actual Omega Race parts. I could still use a Cinematronics Keltron high voltage box and a Star Rider rear wheel, in case anyone finds one of those in a warehouse.
Dusty
somewhere.
warehouse.
But other than that, keeping busy. I'm hoping I will finish up my my Kubrick cubes soon. I just need to track down some last things for it and put it all together. So I'm hoping we'll be able to move that into the arcade at some point soon.
And
there will hopefully be more videos at some point soon-ish from the channel whenever I get the time to edit the footage I have already taken.
Including?
You shall see.
Of what game?
And there's big news coming soon.
Yeah. There will be a cool
Watch
video at some point soon.
Or watch the Retrobotics space.
Or go on Clav.
Yeah.
I don't know why you want to talk about it, but anyway.
Love it.
He doesn't want to talk about his Donkey Kong Jr., guys.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Now you're hooked on Nintendo cabinets. You're going to get
I got to get all of them. The Donkey Kong Jr. absolutely next.
One of every color, every speaker count, slot count.
There are ones with different speaker counts?
Well, there's different speaker slot counts, different.
The slot counts. Yeah,
well, there's like 5 slot and 7 slot Nintendo cabinets, but then there's ones that have dual.
I thought you were talking about like there's a Donkey Kong with 2 speakers, and I was like, I didn't know about
that. No.
Aftermarket.
Yeah. Charlie.
So, as for me, I haven't picked up any games since the Dig Dug, so I really am only at one pickup for the year so far.
Sorry, that's the one that you killed the old lady?
Almost. She did survive. Well,
are you sure? Have you checked up on her? Because she probably had a concussion.
She's just slightly concussed. She's out 4 to 6 weeks, but she's on injured reserve. She'll be fine.
I mean,
if she's 90 and got a concussion, she dead.
Brain bleed.
Have you talked to her recently?
No. It's just I threw a peace sign, right? I still am waiting on a multi pickup. 2 games of which I am very excited about. Well, one that I'm super excited about. Because it'll be because I'm going to redo this row. We're going to redo the layout here. Once I get it, and like right here is going to be the Williams row. I'm going to have all the Williams games together. And this pickup is the final Williams game that I want for my sort of core Williams connection. So very excited about that.
Oh, really?
I did get a millipede board. So I've got a millipede in my Centipede now with an adapter, which is great. Channel wise, I mentioned the Pac-Man Cabaret, the Pac-Man Mini. That's done. Except apparently my kid thinks I need to repaint the inside black. Not the outside is wood grain edge, the inside edge.
How old is
13?
13. Yeah, tell him what it's like to live out on the street if he wants to make a comment about that anymore.
Maybe I'll have him do it. Right?
Yeah.
I'll strip it down and then he can repaint it.
Yeah.
The other thing I've been focused on, other 2 things I've been focused on, my Missile Command cocktail. We're getting very close there. I've got it mostly put back together. All the electronics are done. The last major remaining thing is I'm waiting on rebuild kits for the trackballs. So those should be delivered this weekend or Monday. And there's some stuff I want to do to the glass, and not really a spoiler. So Atari cocktails, I think other manufacturers did this too. They have this like rubber gasket seal material under the glass, between the glass and the wood, so that if you spill a drink, it doesn't roll over and kind of like go underneath like that. I want to redo that gasket, right? And I got material to do that because it's kind of all cracked up and some of it's pulling out and whatever. The thing that I would really like to do, and wouldn't mind getting opinion about that, is there. So there's only a little bit of artwork on the Missile Command cocktail. There's kind of an Atari logo kind of superimposed on the playfield area or the monitor area. There's 4 excuse me, 1 in each corner. There's like Missile Command art, and then it says like player 1, player 2 start buttons and like an instruction sticker, but there's a pretty good sized area on both sides of kind of just glass on wood grain.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is getting somebody to custom print 2 small Translite marquees of the parody Cold War Missile Command marquee artwork, because that would be thin enough to fit underneath, get it printed on Translite material, and it would add a pop of color of Missile Command artwork where you could see from farther away that it's Missile Command. Somebody did parody a couple years ago of the main Missile Command marquee, but with Reagan and Gorbachev on either side facing each other. And then a couple years ago, somebody did one where it was Trump and Kim Jong-un kind of looking at each other. But those that artwork is not just readily available. And I think Arcade Artwork is still down, right?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, Arcade Artwork is still down. Yeah.
Why don't you ask someone who has the vector file of the Missile Command cocktail artwork for the bottom of the glass?
It's not what I'm talking about.
No. Why you can do the custom one?
Yeah.
But why don't you just go get a piece of tempered glass and I give you the actual art file?
No.
And you print
I
it.
want to order 2 $15 little Translite prints to slide them under the glass, and that's it.
You
That's what I
hack.
want to do.
No.
The problem is,
if you're going to do Cold
I
War,
see it.
if you're going to do Cold War, you need to have Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago.
that's cool. I can do that. Maybe I'll have AI do that, and then
No. Sorry. Like you can very easily take a new piece of glass. Like you gotta. How's the glass on that anyway? Is it all scratched up?
It's perfect. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
The only thing is I want to redo the gasket, but I don't want to do that multiple times. So I want to get the artwork put underneath and then redo the gasket. There's nothing wrong with the glass. It's just that gasket sort of, I don't know what it is. I got this 3M material that people say is what you want to use to replace it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. The other thing I've been working on is the Berserk. That's going to be a J-Rock Berserk. I've got all that. I've been fighting with the 4600 a little bit. I got a weird issue that I'm trying to sort out. I've got it working, but the monitor's not, it does this little like Twitch thing randomly. But narrowing it down, it is an issue on, I've literally swapped everything. What's nice about the 4600, it's a very modular chassis. I've literally changed everything else. All 3 daughter cards. I tried a different neck board. I tried a different tube. It's some weird thing on the main chassis PCB. So trying to narrow that down. And I got tons of projects. I got to finish the Outrun. I got all kinds of stuff. Oh, and I was supposed to go to Liam's house tomorrow to drop off some parts that I've been sitting on for him for a while, pick up some stuff that he has. He's got a Marble Madness cart that he bought from a local collector.
Sitting right behind me.
I have a populated Marble Madness control panel on its way to me, so that should be moving up higher in the queue. But sadly, I had to take a rain check, and it'll be probably the end of this month before I get out to Liam's. But yeah, and I think Kay had something he completely forgot about that he wanted to mention.
Kay, what did you just buy?
I got a RoboCop.
Wait a minute.
Data East Upright
There's a
Arcade
thing
game?
for this.
Awesome.
Nah, I got the pinball. I got the Data East pinball machine.
And how did this happen?
For a decade.
How did this come together?
Literally been trying to find this as long as I've known you.
Yeah, I bought and sold one in 2016. Just normal business, like I always do. Pinball machines come through my hands all the time. I get them, fix them up, play them a couple times, send them on their way. That's just normal business. RoboCop is the only one that has ever come through my hands that I've ever regretted selling. And I've been looking for one ever since. I even tracked down the dude that I sold it to a couple of years after the fact and asked him, hey, can I buy that RoboCop back? And he had sent it off to a friend of his in like Colorado, and you can never track it back down. And yeah, the only ones that have popped up since are ones that Liam found on Facebook Marketplace that have been all over the country, nowhere near me. This one was all over the country, nowhere near me as well, but ended up buying it and having it shipped to me anyway. And it showed up last week and had, I'd had it shipped to a terminal near me, went and picked it up. It's in fantastic condition, fully working. It's in the apartment next to my other two, and we've been playing the hell out of it. It's showed up.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Guys, we got anything else? Or is that like, I feel we're ending it weird. We're doing this backwards. I think it worked okay.
I think it worked fine.
I think we'll do it next time too. We got the similar sort of
I think it worked pretty well. I think mine and Chance's idea was a good one.
I think Kay and somewhat my idea was good.
Yeah, we've been month to month with Chase, and so he'll be surviving for another month. Yeah,
we'll re-up his content. Yeah. We'll re-up his contract for one more month and see. We'll negotiate next month.
This is my 2-year anniversary on the show.
Is it today? Wow.
I sent that in our little group chat that we have, the little Facebook thing.
Oh, I missed it.
This episode is my 2-year anniversary.
This is our 3rd year now.
Yeah, I posted in our little group chat. It was a screenshot of the Facebook thing.
I'm behind on. Anyway, all right. So we'll be back end of this month, beginning of next month with our next episode. I want to say a special thank you to Cameron Cardwell, Jerry Voluptuous, and especially the incredibly handsome and generous Jeff Kinder for their awesome super chat donations. We appreciate it from all of you. And then everyone's who's here at the end here. We've got Encore and Papa Sean. And Wayne's been here beginning to end, wire to wire. Jerry's been up real late with us. Appreciate that. Anyways, guys, this has been the 37th episode of the Coin Jam podcast. We appreciate you all, and we will see you next time. Now, where's the stuff? They changed it. Oh, here it is.
Oh, my God.
Oh, and we got one more here. A $5 trillion Canadian super chat donation from Papa Sean 69. He says, this one is for Prime's lovely lady. Join us monthly. Maybe we'll get a cameo again too. Thanks, Papa Sean. Thanks, everybody.